All right. Welcome to Twisted Pair. This is our second annual Christmas pairing. I'm Greybeard, and somewhere in the darkness there is Shred. There she is.
Yes, here I am. Someone who was supposed to be here honest didn't understand the instructions. Okay, so you're listening person, you know who you are. Go to your Facebook Messenger, look for the link that Greybeard sent you in your message, and then that way you can get on.
I didn't send it to that person because I thought you were going to.
Oh, I thought you were going to. Oh, communication. Okay.
Well, communication. So what? I got it right here, and I will switch over there.
Sorry.
You know, life happens.
Oh my goodness. It's like now my little cloth is going to fall off.
All right. There it is. I have sent it to this person.
Okay, person. I know that they were on Facebook. I hope they're listening.
The person just said you're both killing me to me directly. Because it's always my fault.
No, I was going to say, it's always me. If something's going to happen, it's going to be me. So, Merry Christmas.
It's going to be me. Merry Christmas, man.
Happy holidays. Happy Hanukkah.
And look at you all festive.
Yes. Okay. So, I'm going to talk about this in just a second, but you were showing your pretty drink, but I don't think it was on yet. So
no. So yes, our pairing. Well, I was waiting for our special guest. Is he getting lost in the process here?
He probably is. You know how old people are.
Hey, I'm old. I'm older than both of y'all, so just shut up.
No. Okay. So here's a funny story. So my oldest son, I texted my son, and but I have a group chat of just my two boys, and then I have a group chat of my daughters, and I have a group chat of all five of my kids. So anyway, I asked him to do me a favor, and he's like, "Mom, why do you keep texting both of us in the group chat?" Yay! There's special guest. Hi, special guest.
Hello. He's got to get his camera on and his mic on.
Well, his camera's on. I see him.
I don't yet.
Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, so I see him over here on LinkedIn, which is like a 50-second delay, but I don't see him on my browser.
That's weird because I see him on StreamYard.
Yeah, I don't. I see us like a spinning thing.
Oh, I guess it might be you.
It's got to be me.
So he was like, "Mom, stop texting us both." And I said, "It's okay. I can do this because I'm old and I don't do technology."
All right, I'm going to refresh my browser while we're doing this.
As we're getting situated. Bear with us, people. We're having technical difficulties today. Oh, we lost Greybeard. But we're still live.
How are you doing, Red?
Hello, everyone. Good. How are you? So, for those who do not know, since we are still live, this is, wait, if I point that way, yeah. I'm dyslexic, so it doesn't, I think it's that way, yeah. Thank you. This is Bert B. Smoking, and he is in charge of all our graphics, advertisements. We have talked about him. He also is great at finding things and, resources. And so he is part of Twisted Pair and Leaf and Grain, and he plays a very important part, and it helps me out because I don't have to do graphics, and he does such a better job at it.
Well, thank you, Red.
As I'm sitting here coughing. So, how is the weather out there in sunny California? Maybe I should wait for Greybeard.
There we go.
Okay. I just explained who he was to everybody and what he did for us. and how he does the graphics and the logos and the announcements and all that stuff. And he's also great at finding stuff on Google.
Did you just say the weather?
Yeah, well,
No.
I asked you how Cali's weather was today.
It's a little
But
cool.
I'm gonna regret.
It was a little cool today. It's about 73 degrees.
A little cold at 73.
No, a little cool.
Look at my hoodie
There's
now.
a difference between cold and cool. Cold is 60. Cool is 73.
And it is
Like,
let's
what is
see.
right now?
It's 45. I've got a heater, hat, 2 layers, and a coat.
That's tundra. That's like Arctic weather.
And gloves if I need them.
Yeah, no way.
All right. So now that we have our special guest, our graphic artist extraordinaire, Google King. I don't think he's reached the levels of Google God yet, but hey, well working on it. Bert be smoking. Bert, thanks for jumping on, man. This is Leaf and Grain family right here tonight.
Yeah, it sure is. It's great. It's great to be here. I like to every once in a while substitute when Red can't join, and we've had some interesting guests.
You just freaking threw me under the bus. He always says when Red can't do it.
Well, no. When Red can't join, when she can't join, when she's out ruling the world or whatever she's doing, expanding her, her territory, her monarchy. And we've had you and I, Greybeard, have had some pretty good guests that
We've had some good shows. Now both of y'all left me hanging, and both of y'all got a good excuse. Both of you have a really good excuse for when we had Edwina, the coach, on. But she and I had a great time. We missed you both. I missed the questions because, Bert, I got to tell you something. You always keep us. You always bring us back around when Red or I seem to go off on a tangent, and you always have some really good questions for our guests. Mm-hmm. And so I did miss those questions, and it really kept me on my toes. Making sure that I had all, was asking all the right questions, and I think I did a pretty good job with it. But it was a lot of fun. But I'm glad to have you both back this week.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. Glad to be back. So and thank you for being understanding and compassionate on that. I do want to touch base because a lot of people are still messaging me. So I just kind of want to make a public announcement. So we'll kind of do that if that's okay. Allie is out of the hospital. She's doing better. She is hooked up to a heart monitor. And so she'll be wearing that for a while. She is pregnant. No, she did not have the baby. The baby, little M, is not due until April the 21st. So she still has a ways to go. So thank you for that. And I will say this, when we said that she was expecting, she does have 4 different heart conditions. So we have to monitor and watch her heart. And that's what is what we're trying to get under control. So she went to the cardiologist. She has some more appointments, but she is doing well, and I appreciate everyone's thoughts and prayers and messages. I do that. And then also I appreciate your thoughts and your prayers as well for me losing my mother. And on this one, I did kind of have someone message me, a not very nice message, but, and here's this. Yes, the first 5 years I lived with my birth mother, first 6 years, I want to kind of like 5 to 6 years. And, your mother's your mother. I don't, it's, I have memories, my siblings have memories. she still gave me a part of who I am. She made, my looks, my attitude. She was a mean old lady. I don't want to say to me, but she told it like it is. And that's one thing is I do appreciate is she did say things like they were. And I kind of have that same tendency. I kind of tell things like they are. She's feisty, so that's where I get my little feistiness from. We both were on the short side of our family. My brothers and sisters are all 6 foot and taller, and I'm 5'3.5". Even some people like to debate with me. So, I did get to go tell her goodbye, and that's part of the reason that I was not here. So I needed that peace and closure, and I have that now. And she did pass, and so for the other people who have been there and for your prayers and support, I do thank you for that. And sorry, I kind of went off on my little tangent, but for people who know, your mom's your mom. It doesn't matter how long apart you've been, you know that as a child, and so that's my piece on that.
Yeah, absolutely. And, family is family. And that always comes first. No matter where, no matter if it's a job that pays or if it's a job that doesn't, it's like ours, what we do, family's family. And that's what is most important above all. And Red, you're my little sister. You're my baby sister, and you always will be. And I love you deeply, love you dearly. And you and Allie and everybody is in all of our prayers, now and forever. And I'm so glad that you're back because I missed you. But
yes, I missed
take
y'all
whatever
too.
time you take whatever time you need, hon, and we will keep on going.
Yes. So I'm excited about pairings this show because we're doing Christmas pairing, and you've already started your cigar. I haven't even lit mine up. This is something to keep warm.
Well, this is my. It's so damn cold in the mornings. This is my first cigar all day. I haven't even been down and smoking in the mornings because I don't have.
Whoa! I hadn't even thought about
cold.
That.
It's cold.
I just want to say one thing. I just turned off my AC. Sorry.
We might have to knock him off the show here in a minute.
I'm going to go back to. I just said in the private chat that I was muting the mics because of the feedback, and it's not there now, which is nice. Oh, a little bit there, and it's coming from your mic, Bert. But more comments like that. Just now turning off the AC, might get you just kicked off, completely here.
Well, I do have an Android, so that's probably why the feedback is bad.
No, I've got an I'm not on. I'm on the computer, so. Plus, I'm also using my fancy mic. And I've got my new webcam. Do you like this?
Yes, I know. It's nice. It looks all nice. I need to get serious about getting mine. So, what are you smoking, Greybeard?
So I am smoking an Ashton VSG. So this is a beautiful cigar. I've always loved the VSGs. It is a Dominican binder and fillers with an Ecuadorian Sumatra wrapper, and I am pairing that with a mulled wine. That is so. This is
what kind of wine again? Sorry.
This is a mulled wine. And so it's a Cabernet Sauvignon. What you do is you heat it up, a slow heat, bring it up to a slow heat on the stove. You don't want to bring it up to a boil. You don't want to bring it up to a fast heat. So you go on a medium-low heat just to slowly bring it up. And then you season it however you want. So I went with blackberries. So I've got blackberry fruits in here, a raspberry orange, a cinnamon stick, and a little bit of honey to just add a little bit of sweetness to it, but still have that dryness from the red. You're muted.
I should be used to this on Zoom, since the majority of my meetings are on Zoom. So I'm like, that's really cool. I like that. I'm going to have to totally go for that. So funny story. I'm going to show off my drink because it amazingly, I think it's still pretty. I don't know. We'll see. It probably not. So this is my drink from hell today. So I'm going to explain what happened. This is actually a sugar cookie, and it has vanilla frosting and sprinkles around it. But here's the thing. So I get all my beautiful things, and I start shaking my drink. The lid pops off. And, I know better, and I tell my kids all the time when they're shaking the drinks, make sure you keep the lid on. Make sure you keep the lid on. Yeah, I didn't follow my own rule, and it exploded everywhere up on the ceiling. It fell on me, got all over my sweater that I originally had. So I had to go change, and so I changed into this was my Christmas Eve one. Smiling is my favorite. If you have not seen the movie Elf, we cannot be friends. You need to see it. It is the greatest, my all-time favorite Christmas movie.
I have seen that movie. I've seen it once. I've seen it 1,000 times. It was John's and Robin's favorite movie. And if I never see it again, it'll be too soon.
I've never seen it. I've never seen that movie.
And so, and then I'm excited about this one. I don't know how it's going to pair because my evening's been crap to win. But anyway, so I was looking for this and I couldn't find it. And so on one of the days off that I actually took a day off of work, I cleaned out my humidor because that's what makes me happy. So that's what I did. And when I did that, rearranged everything and got everything organized, I found my Karen.
And should we make the announcement?
Yes, that's why I was doing it. I was like, oh, this is so exciting because Greybeard, are you ready?
K by Karen cigars are now going to be available at the Underground. Bruce messaged me yesterday, so he and I were talking back and forth. And Don, if you see this, thank you so much for bringing those in. Don bought the entire line.
Oh,
that they have. Even Don Kiki's got the entire line in. And so you noticed that in Cigar Journal, Bruce talked about Underground Cigar Shop and Cigar Journal. And so it's going to be it's in the e-zine issue, and it's going to be, I think, in the next printed issue. But did you see also who got mentioned inside there?
Yes, and I wanted to screenshot it so we could share it. So it was also Leaf and Grain was mentioned as well due to Bottle Night. So it was a shout out to us, and so it was really, really cool. And it was kind of sad because Bruce, and I'm going to make my apologies to Bruce. He messaged me, and I did not check my messages till late because I had to be at work at the cigar lounge. I was there at 8:30 in the morning. So because we open up at 9. So I was, doing things, and so I did not see the message. So my apologies.
Okay, so Bert, what are you pairing?
So I've got the 2021 Viaje Farmer Bill Hatchet. We'll take a look at that.
Well, there you go.
There we go. And then I am pairing, it's called a Screw Dolph. So what it is, let's see here. I'm not a pro like you guys on this thing. So,
it's a Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
So it's chocolate, hot chocolate, mixed with peppermint and screwballs.
Oh. wow.
And I like the marshmallows and the cherry topping
Yes.
on top.
So,
So
we'll see.
Red, did you tell us what you were smoking?
Yes,
The K by
I
Karen.
did. The K by
Oh yeah,
Karen with
okay, yes,
AJ.
yes. That's right. The K by Karen.
Yes, with AJ.
Because and then what threw me off is because that's different than what you told me earlier.
Mm-hmm. Well, and like I actually grabbed another stick too, because I also grabbed this for if we, we finish or whatever. So I have Placencia.
And
the red.
I grabbed I grabbed the Eras,
Mm-hmm.
and you got the Viaje. So we all came prepared.
Yep.
So let's talk a little bit about this year. Can you believe that we are at the end of 2022? We have gone through. Red, we've been doing this for a year and a half now, for 18 months now. And we have done a massive amount of shows. In 18 months, we've only missed 3 shows.
Mm-hmm.
3 shows out of almost 80 weeks.
101 shows. 101 shows.
101 shows.
He's also a human calculator.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we've done 101 shows so far. That's pretty insane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I remember when we were so excited that we hit our 10th episode, and after we finished it, you were both like, "You think we'll hit 25 or 50?"
Yep. So Greybeard, let me ask you this: who was your favorite guest this past year?
Oh my goodness! They've all been so good. I would have to say the 3 I was most excited about was Luciano.
I bet I could tell him. I know one.
Luciano, Karen Berger. I was so excited when she came on with us, and Sebastian. Being able to sit down with Sebastian. And I think it's it goes beyond just his character, but just how much he's grown, what he's doing. He's so humble, and he's such a cool guy to talk to. You know. So it's hard for me to say which one's my favorite. Those 3 I was real excited about. Yeah, so the whiskey ones that we did were actually, I think, the year prior.
And see, that's my problem. I'm having a hard time remembering. Okay, what was from this year and what was from last year, and I know that some people are like, it's really not that hard. You should be able to remember. But it is, because I'm sitting there thinking, oh, we did this, and then when you go back and you look at posts, you're like, oh no, that was like the year before. Because it's like when something amazing happens, or something memorable happens, you hold on to that and you cherish it, and it just kind of seems like sometimes you replay it in your mind, and so it just seems like it was yesterday, if that makes sense.
No, I agree. So we did do Castle and Key this year. I'm looking back at our list. Just for this year alone, we've had Dissident on. We've had Osaka. Castle and Key was on March 9th. DC, Drew Estate, McCalla, Black Star Line, McCalla. Penelope was on June 1st. That was a great show with everything that we learned about what Penelope's got coming out. McAuliffe twice. Storm. Oh man, Storm Cigars for Warriors. What that was a great show with him, learning everything. And then we just had the Texas Cigar Roadshow charity herb this past Saturday, and with less than half of the people that showed up, the player raised almost as much money.
Nice.
Wow.
Almost
That's
as
really
much
cool.
money for cigars for the Cigars for Warriors. And I won one of the big raffles. I count Humidor.
You won a McAuliffe Humidor?
No, I won one of the. It's called Need One
Oh, okay.
by well, it's by Need One, and it's 100 count electric humidor. So it's
Yeah.
got the temperature control on
Yeah.
it.
Very, very nice.
So easy to set up. I mean, I put it comes with a little container for distilled water. So I put that in there for 2 days, and bam, humidity was set.
Awesome. That
All
is
right,
very
so-
cool. Congratulations. That's very awesome.
So Red, what has been your favorite show?
Well, I'm going to have to say I really enjoyed Josh and Sid, with them and them being able to tell the news on our show. That was really cool. And that was a neat and fun experience with them because they are such cool people, so humble, and to have them both on the show and kind of see that, and then to kind of see her talk about how she was creating cigars, coming out with her own blend, and then when Molotov hit, and to taste that, it was just kind of really, really cool. I always love Luciano, and Karen was phenomenal. I mean, she is probably one of the most humble people you will ever meet. It's like, and I'm gonna say this because she is absolutely beautiful and stunning. I mean, in real life, she is, she's breathtaking and, just absolutely gorgeous. But what's even more important and what even makes her even glow more to me is how gorgeous she is on the inside. Like how kind, humble, and what she wants for her family, what she wants for the factory, what she wants for other people, and just how giving she is. It is just it's just, you don't find people like that. They're a rare find. So and that's why I get excited about her coming into the VUG. And it's like we get to know these people on a personal level, and it's really awesome to see them succeed. We want them to succeed because of how amazing they are. And so to, finally see her line at Underground, and I don't have to go all over clear across town to get it or order it, makes it 10 times better. So she was fantastic. Always loved Sebastian, as we stated. And, just enjoyed learning about the difference, with Penelope, Castle, and Key. And I'm sitting there trying to think about the other ones that we've had on, because we've had so many different ones and so many diverse that it's just been it's been an experience. It's been a ride. I think it's always a fun ride to do.
It really is, and all the stories that David Blanco told us with Blanco cigars, and what all the stories from Osak, and just his incredible background, that he has. We have had a lot of great guests, and we're going to have a lot of great guests next year as well, which we'll get into that, but much later time.
Yeah.
I'm
birds?
always,
I'm wondering about birds.
yeah, I was too, because I always wonder, Bert's always been on the other side for us.
Yeah.
And so I always want to hear, what's it like being on the other side and being a viewer. What's some of your favorite shows?
I was thinking about that when you were when the both of you were talking. It was a party with Black Star Line cigars. Those guys, that was the first time I had the Warwich, and I'll be honest with you, I didn't eat prior to having that smoke, and yeah, it left my legs wobbly like a chicken, and it was a great stick. I've got 3 more now, but that was they were on for a long time. I think that was probably your longest show. It was probably like 2.5 hours, maybe 3 hours with them, because they were just talking about stories and 4 hours. 4 hours.
I was just gonna say, it was a fun party with them.
Yeah.
So, like, I want to if we had to give a category for the most fun show, that one wins it, because it was a party.
That one, and with Ryan with Drew Estate. I got to co-host that show with you, Greybeard, and then Red jumped on, but it was the conversation was funny. I just remember leaving the mic drop with the pussy control comment, and yeah, I like that show as well. I mean, don't get me wrong, all the shows were incredible. I enjoyed doing the graphics for all of them. The first graphic that I believe I started for you all was for Drunk Chicken, and then it just carried on from there. So I really enjoyed. I still enjoy doing the graphics for trying to come up with different themes and things like that for you all. I think one of the favorite themes I did for you all was the Star Wars theme type graphics. So
I know that was Red's favorite.
So yeah.
You took my question before I could ask it, so now I have angry eyebrows at you, as the kids would say. I was going to ask you, what was your favorite graphic to do? And then, but here, I also liked, here was my other favorite, I'm going to say, the Never. When he had the Never, that was a really cool, how he did the torpedoes and all that. But, so what was like so what was your, I guess you kind of answered your favorite, but what was the most difficult graphic that you've done for us?
Oh, geez, probably probably anything that has to do with like the knights. Anything that has to do with the castle. I think it was the castle and key. That was pretty tough to do. The one that I did for I believe for like with the barrels, the wine barrels in the background, and then I think it was for Luciano. Yeah, thank you, because I had to remove all the lettering and everything from the barrels, and then put in the different brands that he covered. So yeah, that one was pretty tough. That was a little time consuming there, but it was worth it.
That one was a brilliant graphic. I think some of the most creative graphics that you've done was probably Cigar Rockstar, just with him, and where he's playing the guitar, and we're like in the band. Red and I are the band, and he's up there front and center. That was pretty creative. You really blew my mind on that one.
The other one too was 262, going back to school. That was another one that I enjoyed doing. It was tough because it was just the graphics that I do now is I pull pictures from their actual Instagram. I take out the background, and then from there I figure out what type of theme I want to use, like with the Rockefeller with Allison. That was fun too. I like the drunk chicken. That was probably the funnest one to start it off with, because that kind of just from there escalated.
You did an excellent job.
I'm glad I didn't get any yolk in the face.
I'm sitting here moaning on that one, and I was on mute, so I have to moan. Oh dear Lord, that was.
That's good.
That was hard boiled.
So but see, then y'all bring up people like one of the most surprising guests that we had on is Cigar Rockstar. I've seen some of his stuff, I've seen his posts, and I really didn't know him. I've seen him at the underground, just from a distance or whatever. But I really enjoyed getting to know him. He is just so cool, and being on his show as well. So that was just he's phenomenal.
Well, and so yeah, he was on our show, which was great. And then we turned around on his show, and he really highlighted us, and what we do, and asked really great questions. And his co-host, and other people were on the show were asked great questions. And then I went and was a co-host, co-MC for a panel that he did for Cigar Rock Week that he did here in the DFW area. And watching him when he came in, he was a consummate professional. He organized, he came in, he was making sure that the host and the guests had what they needed. What you couldn't see if you were able to watch the show live, or if you watched the replays, is that he's making sure that our drinks are refilled. If I needed a lighter because my lighter went out, he had it up there. When I needed a new cigar, he had one right there to me. And he's doing this all behind the scene, all while keeping his rock star persona going 100% of the time. So he's in his eclectic outfit. I think he was wearing one of his pseudo skirt type things that he wears, and he's wearing his really cool eclectic outfit that he's like. So he's maintaining both of these personas all perfectly and seamlessly, and that entire event went without a hitch, and it was beautiful. I was blown away. I was impressed. The guy is a class act.
And and that's another thing is I just enjoy getting to know him more and more as it goes on. And then another fun one that was just kind of was Allison, with Rockefeller, making suggestions and how she came about it. And she's always fun. She's always neat to hang out with and everything. And just, because she comes to the underground a lot. So I've always seen the fun side of her. But to get to sit down and talk with her, about what she does, we've never really had that chat. And, to sit down and, hang out with her was, something new and neat, and learn about her and her husband. And, so, that was another one. I think here's an idea. At the end of the year, this is what I think we should do. This is just off the top of my head, y'all. So I think we should have certain categories as we wrap up our show for our favorite, funniest show, this one, most serious, I think that would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Y'all's thoughts?
Yeah, no, I agree. Another one, a question for both of you is favorite pairing.
Now that's hard.
Or even okay, favorite challenge. Because as you know, I've challenged you guys a lot through the whole year with tequila, with gin, with champagne, mead. So you let me know what was your favorite pairing. I'm sorry, favorite challenge.
I think my favorite challenge that shocked me, I was not expecting and really enjoyed it. And now I'm going to do two ways. The pairing the challenge that I really enjoyed and want to revisit, and the pairing challenge that actually just blew up. And I now want to find something that pairs well with us, to meet that challenge. So pairing that blew my mind was absolutely the mead.
Mm-hmm.
I knew it was going to be good, but I didn't know it was going to be that good to where, as you heard Red and I, we were just going off on, oh man, we could pair with this, we could try it with this one, we can go with this. And the one that I want to sit down and find a pairing that works really well is with a soft drink. Because our soft drinks just did not go. I mean, Red and I both are picking up, going back into our bar and grabbing bourbon to come back out so we could have something that was actually worked well. I mean, because it just totally rock bottom out, did not work.
Right.
And I'm gonna have to say the same. Like, I don't know if I want to revisit it. For the soda, yeah.
Because you did the Italian soda, correct?
I did 3 different sodas, like more of like, the Italian, I did crafted, and the thing is like, I didn't want to do Dr. Pepper because that's like a Texas, I mean, that's a staple, for Texas. So I wanted to do something else. And I've done the Dr. Pepper before, but when I went back and I looked, I always thought I never really enjoyed the Dr. Pepper with any of my cigars. I really didn't at first, maybe, or at the end, but it was like something that I never finished my Dr. Peppers with the cigar, and I didn't really realize it until that show. So for me, it was a total bust, and I see people putting like their Coke, their root beer, and I've done cream soda, and I remember like, yeah, I liked cream soda, but I had cream soda and I didn't enjoy it. And I know that, you say, try it with a different cigar, but going back, and this is how I know if I really enjoyed and I really liked something, is I post it. There's a lot of drinks and sticks that y'all don't see that I've smoked and I've paired because it's been a complete failure. And I'm not going to make that recommendation to anybody. If it was a drink I did not enjoy, I'm not going to post it up because I don't want people to partake in it. Or if it's a stick that I particularly didn't enjoy, I'm not going to post it up or pairing. So, and I went back and I didn't have like any cream sodas. And that was like one thing I was like, oh, I thought I really liked that. And I guess I didn't because I never posted. But yeah, the mead, that just like blew my mind. And so hopefully after the break, soon we'll be able to have Mead Man on.
And I agree with you, not posting about pairings that don't go good for us. But I almost wonder if we're kind of doing a disservice to our community, our followers, when we don't talk about pairings that don't go good together and why they're not going good together. Because we understand why. before we got into this, I paired with Dr. Peppers and really didn't think about it, and look into it. Paired with cream sodas and paired with root beers, and didn't really delve deep into it. Okay, is this working? I mean, I was just smoking a cigar and having a drink at the same time. But now that we're really, we're kind of tuned in to all the nuances and the flavors and everything, I kind of wonder if there is if we're doing a disservice to our community by not saying, okay, here's a pairing that doesn't work. Here's why it doesn't work. And here's what you could do to change it up to make the pairing work without going to the standard of, this whiskey or this wine or this brew or this coffee. Because I was with you. I didn't go with my favorite pairings of like a bourbon, and you both know how much I love my whiskey, because that's easy for me. That's easy for me to say. I can go and pick, one of 100 bottles in there and one of 100 cigars and come up with a good pairing that I'm going to really enjoy. Mm-hmm. So, the mead, the one that really stood out for me was the mead, because I was not expecting it. That was new to me.
But here's the thing, is like I've always said that I don't post unless I like it, and my thing is if you go back and you look at my earlier posts, like during COVID, the pandemic, I drank mead like it was water. I was always getting my mead. So you will see a lot of me, and now I'm kind of like kicking myself about how frustrated and how I should have been thinking more mead, So that's like one thing that's, interesting is like, I enjoyed it, but I just forgot how much I enjoyed the mead. I really did. So it kind of was like, hey, get back into this,
I think the other one too that is port. I think anything that kind of has like a kind of a sweet kind of profile to it, it's always going to pair well with the cigar. You've mentioned cream sodas in the past. Anything that has been kind of difficult, like gin was a tough one to pair, because it's just not, I mean, it's good, but it's just not, it's tough to pair with gin. Same thing, I think with the both of you, was sake. Sake was another one that was a little tough to pair with, because it was just, you get more of that grainy kind of alcohol with sake than you do kind of like really the flavors like you do with mead. Because I did mead as well when you guys did your pairing. I actually did a bottle kill on it where I felt really bad for finishing the bottle, but it was so good. And I think I smoked 3 cigars that night, and every single cigar that I picked for the meat just paired beautifully with it. And it brought out, the different profiles of the cigar. And either way, whether I puffed and then drank or drank then puffed, it was amazing. And I'm thinking, that would be the same way with you, Red, with port. I haven't tried port that much, but, I'll probably try it this year or next year just to see.
And that was like one of my things, was like I hadn't had port, and I think you challenged it or Greg talked about it. I can't remember which one he came. Greg talked about it, and I'm like, hey, let's do a port. I can't remember. I honestly don't, because I actually forgot about the sake. And the port has like become my favorite. I love port. And then when I decided to go with the white port, that even like blew my mind even further. So it's kind of like it's like I crave port and I crave meat. And it's been good with cigars that I put together that, I mean, I've even tried to do something that I didn't think would go well with it, just to kind of play the devil's advocate. And some people are like, why would you do that? You know, because sometimes you just can't, you're sitting here and you're thinking, it can't be this good with everything. Does that make sense? So we're going to push those boundaries to see if it's good with everything and if it's not good with everything.
I think there's some things that port's not going to go as, some types of cigars that port's not going to go as well with. So
well,
say
I guess
like,
it depends on which port though, because you have your red port and your white port.
well, okay, so say take a like a triple Laharo, like a digger or a pissed off Christoph, so something that is really on that major spicy, extreme intense black pepper type notes, or the jalapeno or the habanero from the viaje jalapeno or habanero, where you've got those really really strong Caspian type spices on that. And I haven't tried it. I mean, it could come off that that's a contrast pairing that really works, with a port that's got the really strong fruit up front notes, to contrast those strong peppery notes. But I'm curious as to if that would work. My gut says it's not, but it could.
But I did the port with the Bishop.
The Bishop's blend.
Bishop blend. That is a strong peppery. I also did it with porcelain,
which is another strong peppery.
And because I was sitting there thinking, this can't work. This can't do it, and it shocked me. Because that's what I was going for. I'm like, it can't go well with a peppery thing. But if you think about port and you're doing I can't say it right now, charcuterie board.
Yeah.
And you have those spicy meats to it, it goes well with the port.
And it does, because it starts to bring out some of those umami type notes. And really, it's those contrasting flavors that does it, and that's what's interesting. So I remember you telling me about how you've done a port with a Bishop's blend and a porcelain. Mm-hmm. So
I was trying to screw it up.
It very well could go. So here's a question for Bert: what kind of pairing have we done that you would like us to see us revisit?
Oh, geez, that's a great question. I thought you were going to ask me a challenge that you guys haven't done yet, like cognac.
That one comes next. Oh, you're going to drink some cognac there, Fred. You're going to drink some cognac. You said the same thing about tequila and Islay Scotch, and you love it now.
That and mezcal. Mezcal's another one. I would probably have to say the sake, because both of you agreed on the show that you think, it would maybe trying a different type of sake would pair better with a cigar than what the both of you picked for the show. So I would say sake, because tequila, I mean, I could say tequila, but that smoky flavors of the tequila, I mean, it's almost like a scotch. It's going to pair well with pretty much any cigar, but probably the one that's probably the most challenging would be the sake. So the sake or the gin.
You know what? I'm gonna have to go disappear because Joe, he asked how many podcasts you guys hosted, and
No,
it
no,
was.
it's reverse that. How many podcasts have hosted us?
Oh, I didn't see. Look, I don't have my reading glasses on. I can't see.
How many podcasts have hosted you guys, and
Oh,
which
because
one
he
was
like
your
the
favorite?
pipe. Yeah, that was fun. That was
No.
like, yeah,
Okay.
that was fun, Joe.
So we've been hosted by McAuliffe, Evil Empire,
Mhm.
Whiskey Week with Cigar Rockstar, Boston Jimmy, and Stogie Press, and Cigar Pipes, the Cigar and Pipe Show, the Great Cigar and Pipe Show, with Joe and Ronnie and Kyle and the team. It's hard to say which one's my favorite because I absolutely enjoyed them all for each different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
While you do that, I'm gonna go get the package. So I'm still gonna listen to you because, like,
oh yes, I forgot my yes. Thank you. All right, so you go get the package and then I'll go get mine.
Okay, so I'm gonna hide myself.
I would have to say, just because I won a bunch of stuff on the pipe show, you know, that bottle, the Joseph Magnus, is just phenomenal for cigars. I paired several cigars with it, and it's very smooth. You know, barbecue sauce, and so I'm going to be a little biased and say, you know, the Great Lakes Pipe and Smoke Show. That was a fun show.
I loved them all, and all great hosts, and feel so honored that every single one of them wanted to ask us to be on their show. But I've got to say the Great Cigar and Pipe Show. If I had to nail it down to one, that one was probably my favorite, just because of all of those. I'm muting. There. She was getting noisy. I think that one is probably my favorite.
And I like to say that I think doing the graphics for that show was also one of my favorites because I got to do everything Chicago. So I'm a little biased.
Yeah. We don't want to hear about Chicago, or we're gonna make you put the put the Cowboys uniform back on.
Okay, so
right.
y'all know what happened when I got up.
I will be right back.
Oh, I spilled my drink. I'm having a bad. I spilled my drink all over the ground. The extra one that I had. I'm just done for drinking for the night. Okay, so that one was that. It was fun being a part of the boys club. I will say I think they were shocked. Because the funny thing was they're like, oh, we have a lady present, and I don't think they expected me to bite back as much. So that was kind of fun. And I really enjoyed Cigar Rock Stars. That was a fun podcast. That was really, really neat, and getting to talk about pairings and taking it to the next level. That was really enjoyable. And we were on McAuliffe, and and I've gotten to do like different things with McAuliffe as the Women's Roundtable, and then Ashes with Ash. That was a really cool, neat one. She did a phenomenal job. So I mean, it's kind of everyone that we've done has been, because we've been like, I know it wasn't this year, but it was it's been within a year, technically, was last December when we were with Texas Cigar Roadshow. We were, and I know that Greybeard's a guest on there a lot. So that was really neat. So anytime anyone has us on, it's always really fun. Evil Empire was really cool. So I mean, it's just anytime anyone has us on, it's a privilege and an honor. So we appreciate it. And I'm gonna cry because I just see my drink all over the ground. So I don't have pairings tonight. I'm gonna finish this fantastic cigar by
Go,
Karen and AJ.
go get another drink, even if it's your Glencairn and
No,
a bourbon.
I'm good. I'm good.
She needs to get one of those sippy cups that they give like little kids.
Yeah, I'm telling you, Ernest is going to sippy cup you.
I know. Yeah. So I'm ready to open our gift, our Christmas gift.
I am too, and you can't see it, but this box is huge.
Yeah.
Now,
You
what
got a
what
big
is this
box.
from?
This is from
came
Joe.
from Joe.
Oh wow! I
So
think
did you already
mine,
open yours?
Joe. I think mine got lost in the mail there. I don't think you have my right address.
Oh man, I see something red. So like I'm freaking oh my holy cow. That is sexy as fuck. Oh, excuse me. Excuse my language. Oh, look, and it's red. I'm just gonna get some whiskey just for that.
Well, I was going to say,
That is awesome. Holy cow.
I'm working on it. I've had to cut a couple of layers out.
Huh?
I had to cut a couple of layers out of this.
I'm almost like scared to set it down the way I've been tonight. I've been clumsy.
Oh, the.
What did you get, Greybeard?
I'm not there yet, but it's in a frame.
It's in a frame. I'm anxious to see. And then I got another one.
Lots of bubble wrap.
Yeah,
Hey, look at that, your logo.
These are beautiful. Look at that. And I'm gonna have to give it up because Burpee Smokin took my logo to the next level and just like made it totally me. And so yeah. So I'm just gonna have to drink whiskey tonight, like rinse it out and drink from it because it's got me on it.
My logo needs help. Because I've tried doing the line art on mine and I can't because it's just so busy with the
Joe,
beard.
thank you. This is like wow. I am like super stoked about this. It's gonna be a lot of headphones. So I will have to say this. So I took my daughter out to ice today, and we were waiting for our food to come. Afterwards, we went and ate at the restaurant, and she drew my logo like on the little restaurant thing. She's like, "Hey, Mom, can I see your logo?" And she drew it. She hand drew it, and she did such an amazing. She drew it exactly like it was, freehand. I was like amazed.
You're gonna flip at this as soon as I can get all of this off. I think I can tell what it is. Let's move everything back. Joe, could you have used just a little bit more saran, a little bit more wrap?
Well, he was shipping it from the icy cold Chicago, and like they could have slipped and fallen, and he didn't want it to get hurt.
No, and what this looks like is the article that he published in the magazine on our cigar. Printed out in a frame.
That's cool. That can go when you get your office space.
Yes.
Back behind there. That would be really cool.
Yeah,
But I'm drinking out of my red Glencairn with my logo.
It's the entire review. It's the entire review that he has printed up in the frame. Wow.
And then I also want to say congratulations to him. I think he said he was it 10 or 15 years that he's been in law enforcement.
10 years.
10 years. So that's like big, big, big.
3 days later.
We're gonna say it says 3 days later. If y'all remember the SpongeBob.
Yep, that's where I got that from. 15 years. Thank you so much for all of your service, Joe.
Yes.
Okay. Almost there. Now I see why he wanted me to wait to open this. And it's been sitting in my living room since I got back from Vegas.
Yes, like mine has been sitting there and my kids are like, Mom, what's that box? And I was like, I don't know. I would love to know. Oh, that is pretty. That is epic. That is very, very cool.
This is absolutely gorgeous. And it's got the entire article that he wrote on our pairing, with the pairing with our cigar, the review of it, the pairing, and at the very bottom of it, explore the pairings. There's something for everyone, the Twisted Pair podcast.
Oh, that is cool. That is very, very cool.
This is going up in our office when I get the office space for us. Joe,
yes.
Words cannot say how much I appreciate this.
Yes, that was very, very thoughtful. Thank you.
Oh my goodness.
Thanks. I don't even, because I forgot my iPad, so I was like, I don't know if he's saying anything or whatever, but yeah. I can't read comments today, so if people are asking questions or saying something, my apologies.
Well, if they're bringing up questions, then I'll bring it up. But no, he's doing his classic sunglasses. Here, I'll.
Yeah.
These are like the last 7.
15. Yes. So thank you. Yes. Merry Christmas. Yeah. Yes. His. Aw. Thank you, and we appreciate it.
I love doing this. In fact, somebody asked me today, is like, are you going to do your show with how cold it is? It's like, yeah, I'm doing the show. I do it because I love doing it, and that's, part of the reason why I haven't smoked a cigar this morning is because I didn't want to freeze twice, but I'm going to come out here and freeze and do this show because you guys tell us how much we give to you guys, for both the whiskey, wine, coffee, tea, cigar industry. But I would almost venture to say that I get more out of this, kind of in a selfish, because it drives me to learn. It drives me to study. It drives me to, and I know I can say the same thing for you, Red. It drives me to, to try different things, to research our guests, to be able to bring content to you guys that is engaging and educational and fun. And I get a hell of a lot out of this. So I am completely humbled and honored by this, and by anybody who watches the show, and by anybody who wants to come on the show. It's a humbling experience to me every week. And I got to relay.
Yeah. And I'm going to kind of piggyback off that, because if, we've talked about, I work a lot, there's like my day, we talked about my day job is 40, most people work 40 to 60 hours. It's 60 to 80 hours. And the one day a week that I have that, that I look forward to is Wednesdays, because we've kind of, I've had a crappy week or something. And but the joy I get is from this, I enjoy, trying new things, educating. And when you were sitting there saying that, I think whenever we decided to do this, when we started off, it wasn't like, hey, let's decide to work on, becoming a cigar sommelier, or, let's become a certified retail tobacconist, because I mean, in all honesty, if it wasn't for what we're doing, I don't think I would have ever gone out and tried to do my CRT. I really don't, I would have never thought about it. And, or like learn different things. And here's the crazy thing is like, I've enjoyed learning things. I don't mind reading about things, but to actually be willing to sign up and take courses online with my hectic life that's going on, it's, and here's the thing is working at the shop. I mean, I'm telling you, I love working at the shop. It is something fun, new. I'm learning so much about it. But I don't, and I give up, I don't want to say give up, because when I'm up at the shop, it's like taking time away from my kids. And if anybody knows me, they know I'm all about my kids. They know that my kids are number one besides anything. So and I have to have 500 hours in a shop. So when you're doing it part-time and you can only do like 25 hours a weekend, or 15 hours a week, it just kind of depends. And you work full time, that takes up a lot of time away from your family. And, it's a sacrifice I don't mind doing because of what I'm learning, if that makes sense, And
especially when you calculate into the fact that it's not just the amount of time that you're at the shop, but it's the travel to the shop and from the shop, because the shop's what, 40 miles from your house?
It's over 40 miles, so it takes me about an hour to get to the shop and an hour back. But if I hit traffic like I did yesterday, it was over an hour and a half, that I was in my truck, and I thought I was going to be able to go Christmas shopping for my little Rugrats. But by the time I got done with an hour and a half traffic, I was like, I'm done driving. I don't want to go anywhere.
I mean, an hour and a half, that'll get me, halfway to Texarkana. Over halfway to Texarkana. I can be in Texarkana in 2 hours.
Yeah. And a lot of people ask me why I chose a shop that wasn't closer. And I'm gonna kind of like, I would like to say something on that. First of all, we had Philip on the show. And he came onto the show. So he kind of told us about like, the do's and don'ts in a retail. He kind of told us like that sometimes we'd love to bring a line in, but then they ask for too much, so we can't bring them in. So he gave us a lot of insight of what it was like to manage a cigar shop. And the thing is he's such a cool guy. He's such an incredible guy and well liked. But I didn't want to do it at my home shop because I need to go to a cigar lounge where I can decompress. As much as I would love to go in and hang out with Chef and Don and have all of that there, I wanted my own place that I could call my home, and that's my home. And a lot of the shops around this area is that for me. So this is like, a new place where I don't really know the people that well. And it gives me an opportunity to really learn the industry. And then here's the cool thing is they have pipe tobacco. And so part of being a tobacconist is you have to know your pipes. You also have to know hookah to be
Really?
a CRT. So
that part, so the line that I've been going down, which I'm still at needing to take my final test in the interview to finish it, I got to get up, I need someone to light some fire underneath my pants to get it done. Seriously, But the International Association of Cigar Sommeliers, the line that I'm doing, it's just cigars. We don't talk about pipes. We don't talk about hookah. We don't talk about the retail side. It's all about the concierge aspect of it, of the service industry. And along with everything that you're learning with the history of cigars, the entire process, all of the terroir, all of that goes into making it. It's outside of that. That's interesting that those differences are there.
Yeah, and that was one thing is our store in Plano, we have a variety of pipe tobacco. And you learn about there's like ribbon cut, and then there's different pipes, there's different things that you can do the pipe. You have to know the different parts of the pipe, how to pack it correctly. And so like I knew that they had one of the guys at the shop who works at the Plano one. He's like a pipe expert. He's really good about the pipes. He has several pipes. Another one has several pipes. And so I knew I was going to be able to get my pipe information. And I actually bought a gorgeous red pipe from them, from the selection. And I haven't been able to tell you this, but like my son, I've talked about my boys smoking cigars with me. And, I've actually even had my daughter smoke a cigar with me, the one that's of age, able to do it. And my son came home the other day after, I showed him my pipe and I showed him all the different things. And we were kind of talking about it. He went out and bought a pipe.
Cool.
So last night, I got some kind of like frustrating news, and I was not in a very happy spot last night. And so I was like, one of the things that relaxes me that is either smoking a cigar or smoking a pipe. And my son went in and he came in, he told me, he's like, hey mom, I got a pipe. Do you want to go smoke a pipe together? Okay, first of all, how cool is that saying, hey mom, let's go smoke a pipe together? And then it was funny. We picked some of the same flavors that he had, but here was the thing is during that time that we were smoking a pipe, I've said this time and time again on the show, and like Greybeard understands this. When you smoke a cigar or a pipe or whatever, this is when you relax, you just chill, you're in that mode. And my kids know it's a safe spot, it's a safe place that they can tell me things, that they can have conversations that they would rather probably not have after I come home from work. They know that I'm relaxed, I'm in my happy spot. My son and I ended up smoking, I want to say probably for 2 hours, the pipe for 2 hours. Trying different tobaccos, different blends and everything. But the conversation that we had was so deep and so beautiful that I knew I wouldn't have gotten it any other way. So the fact that I'm passing on what I like to do, my children are picking up what I like to do. But then, we kind of said, it's a safe spot, it's a great equalizer, and it brings conversation that we had such an amazing time. And he's like, hey mom, I think we should have pipe night like once a week. What do you say? I say hell yeah to that.
It's hard to argue against that. It's one of the things that I miss is because with my son-in-law, every Thursday morning he would be out here because that Thursday morning was his first day off. He would be out here in the morning smoking a cigar with me, and I miss that. But I gotta give him a shout out. I'm so proud of him, and I do tear up. I teared up on Monday when Morgan sent me the video of him getting sworn in to the Air Force, and he's off to boot camp. So keep Morgan, keep Morgan in your thoughts and prayers as she's transitioning through this. Her husband, the love of her life, and as young as her marriage is, with the challenges that she's having with her health, and now challenges that they're having with the car and such, that he's not there. So her emotional support is is off doing something that he needs to do for their family. And she's very proud of him, but this is a tough transition. But
Yeah.
you know, it's I hear what you're saying, and I understand that, and that's one of the things that I love about what it is that we do and what it is that we enjoy with cigars and pipes and whiskeys and wines and coffees and teas, you know, and food, and
Yeah.
because bringing all that together is sharing something that everybody, even if you don't smoke cigars, everybody can partake in the enjoyment of it. Because we'll bring cigars into it, but I mean, you want to come to a bottle night, you don't have to smoke cigars, you don't have to drink whiskey. It doesn't matter. You're there as part of the community, and as part of that community, you're part of the family, and that's. We said this before. The cigar is going to burn out. We're going to put it down, and we'll remember the experience. But the friendship, the bonds that we're creating, that's going to last forever.
Right. And I think it's kind of, you know, and I'm going to say this, and I'm really upset because I didn't get pictures because I was running around like a crazy person. We had our Christmas party, but the guys brought their wives up. Now, some of their wives smoke, some of them really don't, but it was just to have the cigar lounge and their wives, because, you know, they talk about their wives and they don't say anything negative. I'm going to put this out here before something, you know, they talk about, oh, you know, what can I do for my wife? She's doing this. And they seek other, you know, suggestions, or they brag about their wives and what they're doing, or their significant others. And it's kind of like, you know, I want to say whenever you go to the lounge, it's kind of like your Cheers bar, you know, you have your Cheers, and it's kind of like you can communicate, you can talk to people, you can tell about what good things are going on, what struggles you're having, and you kind of get advice. It's like that. It's like a community. And we've talked about this, like the cigar community, the whiskey community, you know, coffee community. And I'm going to stick mainly in cigars and whiskey. It's a different type of community that's not sought. We don't, at this time, it's kind of like you respect each other enough because you've gotten to know each other. Even if you don't know, you respect the fact that you're human and you're opening up. And that's kind of like what bartenders, they hear that, or hairdressers. I'm going to also say hairdressers because they hear that too. So we hear the conversation and, you know, we remember it. And then when they come back with their wives, it's like the women weren't smoking, but it was nice to have them to put a face with the things. And I'm like, oh, congratulations on this, or you did really great on this. And they're like, oh, thank you. Well, how do you know? I said, your husband was in here bragging about you. And they were so excited. They're like, we've always wanted to know. And we were always thinking that the husbands kind of like back talk us or something because it's a guys club. And I'm like, no, it's the complete opposite, about how proud they are of their ladies. So, or partners. So, I mean, it's really, that's one thing that's like a really neat experience that I get to kind of partake in, that because if Twisted Pear and Leaf and Grain, I wouldn't have done this if it weren't for this. Does that make sense?
It makes absolute sense. And what's interesting, you brought up something that really brought up such a contrast of communities that I'm noticing, because I have a friend and I meet her at a coffee shop that's local to the both of us. It's up in Grapevine, and I'm not going to mention the name of it, but it's a great coffee shop. But you know, like when we walk into a cigar lounge, we're in a conversation with somebody almost immediately. And it's not just because people recognize us, because that happened even before we became recognizable because of the show. I would go into a tavern, a bar, and I'm having a conversation with somebody about the scotch or the bourbon or whiskey or something that I'm drinking. I go into the coffee shop, And I sit down there and everybody is in their own zone. They're on their laptop, they're on their phone, they're in their own conversations, and there's no cross conversations whatsoever. There's no, hey, what are you drinking? Well, I'm drinking coffee. What the hell do you think I'm drinking? You know, there is no cross conversations going on. And so and there's a level of respect that, you come in, you talk to whoever's within your party there, and there's nobody getting upset if you're sitting, like on a couch across from them and having a conversation because they're in their zone, you're in your zone. But it's completely different. It's not it's not the cheers type mentality where you walk in and everybody's going, Norm. It's not that. And I kind of want to get a barista on the show from somebody that works at a lounge like that and talk about that, because that is so different than what I've gone into a wine bar and sat down and ordered a flight of wines and have had the same thing.
But
I'm to block a user.
But and here's the thing, I can kind of somewhat, because coffee shops have kind of become where you would go do your work. Like, that's kind of how they introduced it. Like, oh, we have free Wi-Fi, so you can kind of do your work, that kind of a thing. But I will say, like, if you go, you said a wine bar. I think like a wine bar is kind of a little bit different than if you go to a vineyard. And I'm going to kind of also go for, yes. I'm going to kind of, and I'm going to reach out to Burt Be Smoking, because I know California, they have a plethora of vineyards and things. But I think when you go to a vineyard to do wine tasting, it's a different atmosphere. It's kind of like with that cigar and the whiskeys and all that stuff, and because I've done a lot of breweries is kind of like the same thing. You get to talk, you're sitting there, and first you start talking about like what you're tasting. Oh, what'd you get? Oh, you might want to try that, or you would like that. And it's happened like at breweries, and it's happened at other things. So I think it's kind of coffee houses were kind of set up to where, ooh, we have free Wi-Fi, come do your work there. So I think it's kind of got that,
It's got that stigma,
yeah. But I'm gonna ask Burt Be Smoking, because he's out in wine country.
Yeah, with wineries, it's people usually go to wineries just to relax, and they're not really wanting to engage with other people. They're really just there to try the different wines, and it's not like a social aspect, like you said, Red, like going to a brewery or a distillery where you're making conversations with everyone. And the other thing too is a lot of the wineries don't allow cigar smoking, so that kind of limits that, to being able to pair wine with cigars. Now there are some, I know of a couple wineries in Temecula where you can smoke cigars, but it's a rarity. Usually with breweries and distilleries, you're able to smoke because that's almost like the norm, where you can, smoke a cigar and pair. Whereas with wine, people just go there and just want to be kind of like isolated from everyone and just enjoy their own wine, and again, not much conversation, going on, not really social kind of thing.
So, and I guess it's kind of, and here's the thing. Here's the funny thing is when I first started working at the lounge, I was like, oh my goodness, this person, it like reminds me of someone from our lounge. So we have like I have my Chris over there. I have my Greybeard over there. I have my chef over there. So it's kind of interesting the personalities, and they say things and they do things and they talk very similar. And so it's kind of like a little bit of home to me because it reminds me of other people at our lounge. And I'm just kind of like I've seen it before. I think we all grew up watching Cheers, or we've watched Cheers, and everybody's like, "Hey, this is the norm of the bar," because he'd have his certain spot that he would go and sit, and you have your norms of the cigar lounge, and I kind of laughed because I'm thinking, yep, that person's like this person over here. That person's like this. So it's kind of a little bit of like a home kind of feel. And I just kind of chuckle that you have some of the same personalities that are at those places, even though it's complete, they're probably 60 miles from each other or something. So I just kind of chuckle to myself and say, oh, they remind me of this person at my home lounge. I think that's kind of interesting and funny.
Now I'm curious on two things. One is, do you have a Kelton over there at that lounge?
Yes.
There's
a Kelton.
We all love Kelton, and we all love to give Kelton hell.
Yeah.
And then I'm curious as to, what does Greybeard talk like? I mean, what is it about me that there's somebody at the other lounge that's like, oh, that's my Greybeard?
Well, it's just kind of like they're into bourbons. So they're talking about the bourbons and they're giving facts, interesting things. Sometimes their facts are not accurate, but I'm not going to call them out on it,
So our last bottle night, I did something different. I did trivia. To where I was going into some trivia on whiskey and trivia on, whiskeys, bourbons, scotches, etc., and went into some trivia on cigars and giving away cigars. And so Chef even got into it and brought out a 2018 Catacombs. A 2018 Catacombs, which you and I both know that you're not going to find that anywhere unless somebody like Chef gives it to you. And so here's the trivia question that I asked. What was the name of the tribe that brought the tobacco leaves and tobacco seeds to Cuba, and where did they come from?
I remember kind of glancing over it because I was trying to get more into the pipe part of it. That's the pipe is what I'm focusing on right now. But I kind of remember skimming it. And I'm not sure if I'm right, but I want to go with the Mayans no, it's not the Mayans. Okay.
Well, we had people saying the Mayans, the Aztecs,
the Incas.
The Incas. No, so they didn't come from Mexico. They came from Colombia.
Okay, that was my next thing was Colombia.
They came from the Colombia, and the name of the tribe was the Taínos, T-A-I-N-O-S.
And I think there's a cigar. He's got Whiskey Network. Whiskey Network.
I need a Whiskey Network hat, and Glenn Carrot. I got to go out to the website and order some Whiskey Network
gear.
So okay, so that next trivia question for you. When the Taínos brought the cigars over, and the reason why we know about it is because that's where Columbus actually landed. And it wasn't Columbus that got this, but it was two men off of his boats. that brought out, that interacted with the high priest, the priest, and the rituals. And the ritual that they do is that they will smoke a cigar that actually would be about the size of a trumpet. I mean, it was a large cigar, and they smoke the cigar as a ritual to speak with their ancestors.
Right.
What's the name of the ritual, and what's the name of the priest that would lead the ritual?
Oh my goodness! As soon as you say it, I'm going to be like, "Yep, that's it," because like
it's a big part of the history.
It's not the shaman.
No, there's a specific name.
Yeah, I know, and that's what I'm trying to think of it.
And Bird is Googling right now.
Maybe.
So the name of the ritual is called the Cohiba. And the name of the shaman, the high priest, the name of the shaman is Behike. That's the name of the priest. And so that's where the premium line of cigars, the Cohiba cigars that
comes from.
Cuba is known for, comes from that. So last part, and so this is the last part of this trivia line, and I didn't make everybody, know all of this. And in fact, I told them because it took a while. I mean, I was getting Aztecs and Incas and Mayans and everybody said you might want to Google this because I knew at that point in time nobody was going to know. But when Cuba, and I can't remember his name, but the leader of Cuba, the dictator of Cuba, when he created these cigars, who did he create? When he created what's now known as the Cohiba line, who did he create the cigars for?
His girlfriend, his mistress, his wife. No, I'm just kidding.
They were only available to the aristocrats, to the high class society, to the elite of the elite.
Right.
In Cuba, because he was trying to win over favor.
Right.
With them. Castro, that's his name.
Castro. I was going to say Castro. Yeah, I was thinking about Fidel Castro.
Fidel Castro. Yeah, he made them only available too.
Yeah.
And all of this kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier. All of the studies that we're doing, you with your CRT, and this is kind of information that you're learning with the CRT and all of the retail, plus all of everything about the tobacco and all of the process, which we've gone over many times in our shows. But we're also getting deep into the history of cigars. And the other aspects of it is that
now you understand where it comes from.
We're understanding, and this is all of the cost of this is coming out of our own pockets for all of this. Every single specialist, the WSET for wine, spirits, the bourbon steward, the IACS, the CRT that you're doing, these aren't free. And they're not cheap. They're anywhere from $300 to $700 each. And all of this is coming out of our pocket, but we're doing this because we really enjoy it. But I can't honestly say, I got my bourbon steward long before we started the show, long before we started Leaping Brain. But I got all the others after we started it because we wanted there to be accreditation behind what we're doing, and that it's not just a couple of people, 3, 4, 5 people that are saying, yeah, we know cigars, we know whiskeys, we know wines, we know coffees, we know beers. But we can say that, yes, we know all of these, and we can talk about how we know all of these, We also say we also pass certifications that validates that we know all of these. And I don't know if that means a lot to everybody else, but for me personally, and I know for you, Red, that's important to us. It's important to me that if I say that I know something, that I can also prove that I know it, not because I need the pat on the back, because I don't, but so that way that there's confidence in that you're learning something from us, that it's not just, oh, this is what I think, and so I'm going to speak this as if it were truth. I think there's importance to that.
I agree with it as well. It's kind of, I will say this is like when a lot of people are like, oh, you're new, I haven't seen you. And then, I'm like, oh, I'm the apprentice. And they're like, an apprentice for what? And I'm like, a tobacconist. And they're like, a tobacconist. And then they're like, well, what do you have to do to be a tobacconist? And when you sit there and you explain everything that goes behind becoming a tobacconist, whether it's through the CST certified sales tobacconist or the retail tobacconist or the master tobacconist, I don't think people realize all the stuff that goes behind it. They think, oh, you know something about cigars, so you're selling it, And then when they hear about it, they're like, wow. They're like, we didn't realize it was that much work behind a certified sales tobacconist. They don't realize that. And, it kind of shows the same thing is like, I didn't realize all the work behind it, all the stuff behind it until we got into it. And we're like, hey, let's really do this. Let's make this legit. And, and it's kind of like what you're saying. It wasn't like to, pat ourselves on the back. It's, when we say something, it's because we studied it. It's not blowing smoke out of our butts, so to speak. It's, I think it's like when you learn that someone has their certifications and all that stuff, it's more respected. And they're like, okay, yeah, for real. So there's that. But I'm going to say this, like, look at, this was the first time. This is why I was like, I don't really need to have a drink or whatever. And we've talked about this. When a cigar is that good and you're enjoying it that much, for me, I don't have to, when a cigar is that phenomenal, I don't have to have a drink to pair with it. I mean, yes, it's going to bring out different flavors and I enjoy that aspect of it. But in reality, I can sit there and just enjoy smoking a cigar or smoking the pipe or whatever. And, get the flavors and all that. But yeah, this one is just, as you can tell,
you're taking it down as far as you can possibly go. One of my favorite pairings with that cigar was Cigar City's Maduro Malt. That beer, and you're familiar with the Cigar City Maduro Malt? I had that in Tampa with Bruce when he introduced me to that cigar, and I was blown away. That is one of my favorite pairings, one that I want to revisit again. I actually wanted to try that with the Temptress.
And I will say, I had, and it paired really well with my cocktail. So my cocktail, my sugar cookie, it consisted of, dare I say, vodka. If it's flavored vodka, we know it's not true vodka. But it was vanilla vodka, amaretto, Irish whiskey. And, for me, I had my lactose intolerant milk with that. And, I had, and on the cup, it's got vanilla frosting with the sugar sprinkles. So, I mean, it brought out that, it was kind of like almost a marshmallowy kind of a feel to it.
I'm telling you, this drink, this bottle of wine, wow, this is good. and pairing so this cigar, and I'm smoking the Everest now, which is also an Ecuadorian Sumatra wrapper on it, just like the Ashton VSG was. Great pairing with it. So good, and I knew it was going to because of the flavors of the Sumatra wrapper and how it's going to. I mean, just perfectly balanced with the wine itself. Really pleased. And this one is Ezra Zion Cabernet that I added raspberry orange slices into it, brought it up to a slow heat with blackberries in there and a little bit of honey just to add a little tiny bit of sweetness, but not so much that it took away from the dryness of it that you get from the Cabernet. And just an explosion of flavors from both and bringing them together. This is going to be a go-to, and I'm going to need to write something up about this.
Okay, and Bert, what was your pairing? How was yours?
It was all right. The from drink to cigar, kind of didn't bring out the flavors in the cigar. But when I went from cigar to drink, I could really taste the peppermint. Really brought out the flavors of the cigar. Really peppery. But I kind of did what you did, except I didn't drop my drink. I just kind of set it off to the side and just really wanted to enjoy the cigar. And the cigar by itself, it was phenomenal. It was really, really good. I'm now smoking the Viaje. What is this? Holiday blend, and finished my drink. So this is really good. A lot of pepper, a lot of spices.
So I want to ask Bert be smoking because like he first came on as a viewer. He first started watching us as a viewer and then came on and just kind of helped out and like started the graphics and even helped out in other ways. So how has the Twisted Pair podcast, the shows, how has that changed your smoking and pairings? Because you've watched almost every single show, so I kind of want to ask about that.
It's a game changer. I mean, I used to just smoke cigars just for the flavor, not really putting any thought into it. And now it's I really, whenever I pair a cigar, I really put a lot of thought into it as to what I'm going to pair it with, so that not only I get the flavors from the cigar, but also from the drink. Because before I was just, my go-to was just which is a very good cigar. It's the Dunbarton Tobacco Trust, the Sober Mesa Brulee, and coffee. That was the only thing I would be pairing with all the time. Then when I started watching your show, I would challenge you all, and then I would also go out and buy whatever you guys were drinking and try to pair it up, and doing more education for myself. Nicaragua, Brazilian, all the different types of cigars out there, really trying to pair it with drinks, and definitely took it to the next level. And that's one of the things I want to give you and Greybeard props on, is that no one else does a show. I've seen many other shows, and no one else does a show like you guys, where you pair cigars and you talk about it, and you talk about the pairing and what you're getting, the flavors and things like that. Everyone else's shows, they bring on a guest, they ask the basic questions. Oh, what got you into this? And the kind of like the history, but no one really talks about what they're pairing and what they're getting from the cigar. And that's what makes this show special and different, is that it's all about the pairing and the different types of pairing that the both of you do. And I've learned a lot. I've never really sat down and did a pairing journal, and I like to say that I've escalated my palate from, I've been smoking cigars for 30 years, since I was 20, and never really enjoyed it as much as I have since this past year and a half. So very nice.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
it's kind of like, I wanted like Joe's, his comment was like, cigar to drink to cigar. It just brought it up to the next level. And that it is kind of funny, because now that I'm somewhere different, I had we had our Christmas party at the lounge, and here was one thing is Philip, he was just like, hey, can you go with me, because I want to buy some drinks. We had beverages, adult beverages and beers at the party, and he's like, I don't know what to get, and he's like, I have you, and so I'm going to take advantage of that. and so we're sitting there, and I knew we were eating brisket, so we were having brisket. Noel's rep was there, Albert was there, so we were doing, it was a Rojas. We had some exclusive with unfinished business, with barbacoa, so it fit in with the brisket theme, kind of the different meats and different things like that. And so one thing that I always go to whenever I make, like, I do my chickens and I do my brisket, is a beer, is Blood and Honey. And and we always talk about how we support local. I'll go to the local brewery, see what they have. I mean, we're all about supporting those brick and mortars. And so I kind of wanted to do something, Texas. So we did that, and it was amazing how it was the first time I ever paired blood and honey with the carnitas, and then I was eating brisket and smoking and drinking. And I mean, I was a happy little girl sitting there, and like, in the other people who are willing to try it, they're like, holy crap, this is something that I never would have thought to do. So it's kind of, I want to say, is like, we're impacting and hoping that we're making an impact on people to sit there and think about taking it to that next level, and sitting there thinking, hey, you can bring out so much more when you're eating, drinking, and smoking. And it just makes it such a beautiful experience and so much more enjoyable. So that was something that, but you talk about pressure, because you sit there and the guys are like, okay, we're going to start watching the podcast, we're going to start supporting you. And then, like, they're sitting there. So whenever I'm doing this, I'm like, I hope I'm doing a good job, and I hope they like it, because there is that pressure. There is that pressure whenever you make a recommendation, when you say, okay, try this with this. And one experience that I've had that I think that we're kind of changing, and it's like, and we've talked about this, and I'm going to give it from a different perspective, because as a female, and we've talked about, women in the industry and all this stuff, there's always another male that I work with. There's always like 2 or 3 guys and me. And whenever I go in there, ask them for the help or whatever, I appreciate the customers have never said, well, I feel more comfortable talking to a guy. I haven't had that. And it's a really neat experience. And I want to talk about, like, the Sister of the Leaf movement, because we had Cynthia on, and she's
Yes.
part of that. She's Miss cocktail queen. I'm going to go over there with that and cigars with that. And I really want to say within the last year and a half, really, and I want to say the last year, mainly the last maybe 9 months, is there's been a Sister of the Leaf movement. And we've been lucky enough to be a part of that. And it's really a beautiful thing to see. It's really a neat thing to see that more women are now coming forward to talk about the cigars, and it's cigar knowledge. It's not just a pretty face smoking a cigar, you know. And that's they're bringing knowledge, and that's one thing that I've been excited. And it just seems like it's just, I don't know. I really think it's been within the last 6 to 9 months. I mean, I don't know. That's just from what I'm seeing. I want to ask y'all's opinion on that. If you kind of notice that too, that it's going that way. And I just want to give kudos to that.
I've definitely noticed it, you know, and just thinking back to, you know, some of the women that we've had on the show. You know, you mentioned Cynthia. We've had Cindy on the show. We've had
Lauren with McAuliffe.
We've had Lauren with McAuliffe on the show. We've had her name just.
We had Coach. We had
Coach, but the first one that we had, her name
Anya.
Anya, thank you. Yeah, Anya. All amazing women, very knowledgeable. Karen. I mean, oh my Lord, Karen on the show. Very knowledgeable women that are, and you know, being featured in a magazine, you know, having an article about you in a magazine. Every single one of you are making impacts and changing the industry. And, you know, as for me and myself, and I know, you know, Bert, I'm going to speak for you, and I know Joe would be saying the same, and I can speak for Matt because we talked with Matt about this. We all support you 100, and there is no end to the level of support that we give each and every single one of you, because the industry needs it. The industry needs it. The industry needs to step away from looking at gender, looking at sex, looking at skin color, you know, as far as people who talk about this industry. Jara, I mean, look at some of the things that Jara is doing. Jara's a co-host on a show. She talks about cigars. She talks about whiskeys. She's opening up a cigar lounge whiskey restaurant. Hell, I went back to her restaurant again and had another one of their old fashions and dinner, and it was just mind blowing good.
Well, and then our artist out in Burlington, Kim, and it's just, and I'm gonna take it. I know I see it through a different lens, because when I started 26 years ago, there weren't any women out there smoking cigars. I mean, to be honest, we did it at home. It was considered a no thing. You know, it was a women faux pas or whatever. But it's just to see where it is now. And for people like, you know, someone came in, they had smoked a little bit of cigars, but he was like, hey, can you show me how to use a punch? He's like, I've never used a punch. I've always used a guillotine, or I've always used a cutter. And so for me to sit there and have him not be afraid to ask and get educated was, to me, that is just like an amazing thing. And, you know, when my son went and got like his pipe and everything, you know, and this to kind of shows is I was off working, so I was not available to answer his questions. He went to a local tobacco cigar lounge and he asked, and they sat with him, and he goes, my mom is really into this stuff. My mom, and it was kind of funny. He goes, my mom's really into this, and, you know, she has her own podcast and she does this. And the guy's like, well, who's your mom? And he pulls up my Instagram, And he's like, oh my gosh, I know her. I've listened to the show. I know. And he kind of made a joke. He goes, I can't believe that's your mom. She doesn't look, old enough to be your mom. And he goes, I'm sorry, but your mom's hot. And I hope that's not disrespectful. So he kind of laughed. He's like, yeah. But he kind of learned. And then when he came home, I was able to show him a little bit more. I was like, okay, now son, what we need to do, and I said, they probably told you, but it's a lot if you don't, when someone's just giving you information on the pipe for the first thing, you're not going to remember when you walk away, because pipes are a little bit different. You can't light it up, cut it. It's a little bit more work.
Mm-hmm.
And I told him, I said, I didn't want to do on his first thing. I wanted him to pack his pipe and show me what he learned. And I didn't want to correct it because I wanted to see how it went for him. So the next time I said, okay, so son, what we're going to do is I said, we're going to let the tobacco breathe. So you need to let it out, because pipe tobacco is more humidified. It's wet, kind of a wetness to it if you smoke a pipe. So it's I said, you need to let it breathe. You need to spread it out and get at that. And then I said, the first time we're going to pack it really tight down at the bottom, the first third. And then the second third, we're going to pack it tight, but not as tight. And then on the final, we're not going to pack it really. We're just going to pat it. And then he lit it and he was like, oh my gosh, this is lasting a lot longer. And it was, it was really cool that he was willing to learn this even after someone had taught him how to do it. But it was just like one of those cool things that I could show him. And I think that's kind of, it's like a full circle, kind of like what we've talked about, is I think we all, when we get into this, I think people, I want to say probably about like 85% of the people are willing to learn and they're willing to try new things. I've had some people come in and they're like, I only smoke this and I don't want anything. I don't want to go another way. That's fine. They can do that. It kind of makes me sad because they're missing out on amazing opportunities and flavor. But I mean, that's what they want. That's what their father smoked. That's what their grandfather smoked. So for them, it's very, very special. So it's like, I respect that. But I think it's been an amazing, incredible journey. And, there's some things that, I've been having to get out of my comfort zone to smoke, because I need to learn not everything's a boutique. We've talked about that. I've got to get out of that comfort zone of smoking things. So I'm trying things that I normally wouldn't try. And I think that's kind of and because of the show and because of Bert B. Smoking over there, he's made us get out of our comfort zone, and other people have made us get out of our comfort zone. So it's kind of been nice to
I smoked all of the mainline brands before I came into the UG, and that's when I really got introduced into boutique worlds. And so I smoked both sides. And what's funny is we're getting into talking about how there's two categorizations or classifications of people who smoke cigars. There's cigar smokers who have the passion, really want to get into it, learn about the tobaccos, learn about the flavor profiles, try boutiques, try different pairings, want to learn more about what it is that they enjoy. And then there's people who smoke cigars. And they're like, this, I'm going to go in and I'm going to get a Padron 26 40th anniversary or 64 50th anniversary, or I'm going to smoke an Oliva V Milano, or an LFD double digger, the triple Ajero. And that's all they smoke. And that's fine. But there's, you notice how that you have really those two classifications of those types of people. Someone who comes in and says, okay, I really like a nice, full-bodied, strong cigar like a triple Ajero, double, LFD digger. What else do you have? That's a cigar smoker. That's somebody who wants to expand and learn about, different lines, different types of blends, and so forth. And you've got to, on both sides, when you're on retail or when you're on the social media, like what we are here, we have to learn who it is that we're talking to, because how we interact with them is going to be different. There's people that all I drink is a standard 51 20 30, 51 20 29 bourbon, or I drink nothing but Buffalo Trace wines, and I'm not going to expand outside of that.
And I can kind of understand that, because when I first started doing the bourbon thing, I was like, I like this. I don't want to go explore it because this is what I'm liking. And I had one and it wasn't good, so I just kind of want to stick to that. So I kind of somewhat understand it, but my thing is like, I'm always thinking, some of the things if I was so stuck on that, and if I haven't tried it, I would have missed out on some extraordinary whiskeys, or, to know what, if I had been so hell bent about like, no, I'm not doing stinking tequila, or no, I'm not going to do Scotch. I don't like Scotch. I'm not going to do I'm not going to do it. I think that's kind of, because I had one that I didn't enjoy kind of, and this is like, now this is biting me in the butt, because I'm sitting here saying this and I don't want to do cognac or whatever it is. But, so it's now I'm going to have to, because I'm sitting here calling the kettle black here. But the thing is I've enjoyed exploring. There's some things that I'm like, okay, I'm glad I tried it, but am I going to do it again? Probably it's not going to be my go-to, So, and here's the really, I kind of want to say, I want to talk about this. If you are a cigar smoker, and this has been fun because we've been having someone come in, a lot of daughters, sons, wives, or significant others coming into the shop, and they're like, my dad smokes cigars. I don't know what he smokes. I think it's got a red label. And I kind of chuckled to myself, because I'm like, well, that's 75% of the humidor. But it's been fun to kind of like go with them, show them all the red labels, kind of getting to pick out Christmas gifts, and then even say, okay, oh, what's this? What would they need that? I've enjoyed that, and I've actually kind of sold a humidor. I've sold the little cases. I've sold like the little punches with the key rings, cigar lighters, all that stuff. And one lady was like, I want to get a lighter for my husband because he just started smoking cigars, and he uses my candle thing, and I know that can't be good. So what do I need to do? And I gave her some recommendations of some lighters that we had. And she said, oh, I like this one because he likes the college and the colors that way. So here's my recommendation is, if your kids want to give you something, take a picture of it, show it to them. Don't be scared. Let them know. And then what would y'all like as like a stocking stuffer or as a cigar gift that your family could give you? What's a good suggestion?
That's a tough one. And I
would have to say the number. The number is probably definitely a tool that that you definitely need in your accessories. The tool that you got, Red, that you went live on, I believe yesterday, where it was a double punch. It was a cigar pick, and also a perfect draw tool. I think that's an excellent gift because that encompasses everything that you need for your cigar. Granted, it doesn't have a lighter, would have been cool, or a cutter, but everyone has cutters. I think even a case, to a case that has those tools in there is a perfect gift. Perfect stocking stuffer.
So this is something that I got from Angel when I was down in Tampa. So Angel's been on the show. He's tuned in on the show. I've gone live with him a couple of times, and his wife makes different types of things out of acrylics and such. And so made me this. So you can see, the beautiful, colors, and the smoky designs into it. This thing is light. It's got a little holder, little single person ashtray. So we've talked a lot about the easy ashtrays and love the easy ashtrays and great for when you're traveling. But when you're not carrying your travel door, that it fits in, it's not really, suitable for, and you're just going with a carry-on, to travel to, on the plane with it, because it is a very light cardboard and can easily get bent up. This fits into the pocket in my backpack and just goes right on the plane with me. And so I've got this on there. So this makes a great stocking stuffer. Like Chris said, lighter fluid, lighter fluid is something that you can always have. And what is funny is I used to think that buying something for, a cigar, stocking stuffer for the cigar person or the whiskey person, should be pretty easy because, we always want lighters. We always want cutters. We always want, the little ashtrays. But at some point in time, how many cutters do we really need? How many lighters do we need? And, I've got like 6 or 7 different sets of whiskey stones. I've got probably 30 or 40 Glencairns, 20 or 30 rocks glasses. I've got so many, and I love them. And, someone wants to get me those, I absolutely want more. But the person buying the gift is going to come back and say, well, he's already got so many. Does he really need that many more? So it does get challenging.
The pairing wheel is another one that I would say that's a great stocking stuffer. That the pairing wheel to me is taking your cigars to the next level. Now you're looking at that pairing wheel. You're seeing what kind of notes you're getting from the cigar. Sorry, Red, I didn't mean to cut you off, but
no, I was going to say, I'm glad you kind of said that, because we now have our new pairing wheel, and that's a great idea. I had never thought about a pairing wheel.
Or the journal. Cool. The journal is another great stocking stuffer. I mean, that again is taking your cigar smoking experience to the next level.
It took me probably 30 hours to put version 2 of the pairing wheel together. I mean, it was growing it back out, adding. I think I added 10. Was it 10 or was it 15 different notes?
It was 10 first, and then I gave you like 5 more.
Yes. And I do, I'm resizing this, and getting it to where each of the different, labels are maneuverable and I think it looks a lot better. It fits better on that. But yeah, I mean, the pairing wheel is great. The pairing journal, at the Texas Cigar Roadshow, Leaf and Green, we donated to the raffle ticket a pairing. So what I put together was a Rioja Tempranillo so an Italian wine, Tempranillo from Italy, with three of my father's Don Pepin blues, which pairing goes together great. And what's funny is the women that were there, and they were there with their husbands. All of the women that were there were all going to their husbands. You go put some raffle tickets in that wine one, and it was David Skelton's daughter and her husband who won it, and cool. she was so excited, and she said to me, and I took pictures of her husband with her because she was busy. But she told me afterwards, she goes, I'm so glad I won that because I love wines. And hearing about you and this pairing, I'm actually going to try a cigar with it.
Yeah. And that one is, and here's my thing, is sometimes my mind is just like so exhausted. And it's kind of like when you were talking about like what tribe from Colombia. Like later on, I was like, I remember that. I know it's from Colombia. We have several cigars. Oh, I knew it was the Cohiba. But my mind is so brain dead. And when you have that pairing wheel right there, it helps you. Because there's sometimes I can think, what's this I'm tasting? And I know what it's that I'm tasting, but I can't think of it. Does that make sense?
That's me 90% of the time.
It's a cheat sheet that helps me. I'm like, oh my gosh, there it is. Or I'll say, oh, it's this. And I'm like, no. And then I go through it and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's that. So, yeah, I love that. And then, and especially when I'm dissecting a cigar and I'm writing it in the pairing journal, the pairing journal and the pairing wheel go hand in hand. And that's what I was going to say. One thing that I was gifted is like, I love my, like, as we said, we have our easy ashtray, and I've used that in my car when I've smoked. But I've been letting my daughter and her significant other, I've been letting them borrow my car. Well, he's 6'3". So when he sits on the passenger side, he takes my car seat and goes all the way back because he needs the leg room. So when it does that, it moves my middle console, and I couldn't really use my easy ashtray. And granted, when I'm driving, I can't lean over and pull the chair up. So I got me a little cup ashtray that's a cup holder with the lid on it that goes in there. And I know that some people don't smoke in their car. And like, here's my thing. I don't really smoke in my car. I've never been a big person. I've smoked in my car occasionally. If I didn't finish my cigar, I'll smoke in it. But let me tell you, when I've been hitting the traffic for an hour and a half, so I don't have road rage, I'm going to enjoy a cigar. That's the time that I can enjoy a cigar and I can reflect and I can do things. And I loved my little ashtray because I can put it down, it can hold the cigar, and then you put a lid on it and you don't have that smell. Because after, we've smoked the cigar and we finished it, it doesn't really leave the most beautiful smell, as when we're smoking it. So that's one thing. Another thing is if you know somebody, there's that odor spray, and Bovita packs or the Huma beads. That's another good stocking stuffer. That's what I thought. I was like, and I want to say, even though you might have 100 Glencairns, a personalized one, like, yeah, my kids, no one can drink out of that one.
I do have a personalized rocks glass, but I don't have a personalized Glencairn. But I do want to have my logo redone because it's hard. It's so busy in there. It's hard to see what it is. So I got a question, and this question is going to be for our viewers. All two of them who are online right now, and primarily for Bert, because as we talked about, Bert has been one that has been with us since day one, has transitioned from just a viewer to now a person that's behind the scenes, Noah knows us probably sometimes better than we know ourselves. And we've talked a lot about what we want to do in 2023. But I'm going to put you on the spot here, Bert, and Joe and Chris or Tiffany, if you guys are still on. What would you like to see from us? Two-part. One from the Twisted Pair, and then one from the bigger Leaf and Grain.
That's a big question there, Greybeard. You know, the pairings, I definitely like the pairings. I definitely like seeing you all do the pairings. Probably even going a step further, doing something that's really outside of the box. Cognac being one, because, you know, Red doesn't like cognac. You know, food. I would definitely like to see you all do food. You know, charcuterie boards are pretty standard. You can pretty much get you know, different flavors out there. But with food, I think food would be a next level for you all. You know, pastas. I mean, you've all done one of your favorite pairings was the cinnamon roll with coffee and the Cavalier White. But food, I think just food in general. I think a lot of the viewers want to see food, actual food, like what you would pair with brisket, what you would pair with a steak. I mean, most of our viewers, I think, are carnivores out there, and they eat a lot of meat, and so they want to see what you can pair with food. As far as Leaf and Grain, that you know, your website pretty much hits everything. I mean, you now put your videos on Leaf and Grain. Probably events. I'd like to see events on Leaf and Grain, other than your own events, like events around Texas, events maybe that are happening in other states, so that some of us with the viewers that don't get to see, or they're not following that particular group, to find out where an event is happening. That would definitely, I think, would be great to see, or maybe even a calendar of who you're going to have on for that month, so that people can, you know, make the time, so they can plan ahead and say, all right, I know, you know, for the most part, you're pretty consistent with the 7:00 p.m., you know, Central Standard Time, but to have a calendar to show people so that they can prepare, I think that'd be great for your website.
Love that. Thank you. So Tiffany says yes, always to food, and I agree. And that's something that we've talked about, and especially with Spice Man. You know, Spice Man has been massively busy. He's had a couple of tragedies, things, you know, happen as well. He's got some fantastic news about some new things that's happening in his life that I you know, it's his news to tell, not mine or Red's to tell. But you know, he's the in-house chef. But it's, you know, something that we definitely can do. Joe had mentioned interactive pairings, and then he also follows it up with in-person or virtual. So Joe, I'm going to ask you to, in the comments here, if you can kind of give us a little bit more of insight on what you're talking about with interactive pairings.
Would that be like a Zoom where we would do it? That's kind of like, hey, on this date, fry up some chicken, or get this wine and this cigar, and let's do it as a group.
Yeah, I'm curious. I'm curious as to, because we've talked about doing a show called the Pairing Hour or the Pairing Room, which we can bring that in as part of the Twisted Pair of that, to where it's not just you and I doing a pairing specific, a specific pairing or pairing challenge, but maybe it's something where we have somebody that we're introducing them to a pairing to, and we're talking them through it, maybe walking them through the pairing of going through. Okay, so he says everyone has the same pairing at the ready and ready to run through it together. that would be cool, because we can bring more people onto the show, and say, okay, who wants to come onto the show with us, and we're going to do an interactive, we're going to do a live pairing.
Well, that would be cool to do like once a month, set like maybe like the third Wednesday or something, where we could have a set pairing.
I like that. And
I think that would, I don't know why I'm going with number 3. It's like 3 and 7 are my favorite numbers. So there's not 7, things, but I think that would be really cool to get that on, to kind of see what they're going. And we kind of did that on their show. We had an interactive pairing, kind of like what we did on, I was going to say the Great Smoke, but the Great Pipe.
The Great Cigar and Pipe Show.
Yes.
Yeah, we did. And we've done that before, to where we've had everybody, we've challenged people, say, like what Bert always has done, of, come and bring this, this is what we're pairing with. What, we challenge you to come together with the same pairing, but actually bring people onto the show with us. And I think we can get another, 3 or 4 people on this, on this platform with us. I think that would be a great idea. And if we needed to, we could absolutely do it on Zoom, on a Zoom call, and get more people. But maybe to where we're actually with the interactive part. And I'm just kind of brainstorming out loud here, to where you and I are saying, okay, now let's, just like when we're going through the pairing journal and we're writing an article and we're going in depth into a pairing. What are you getting in the first third? What are you getting in the second, in the second third? Now cleanse your palate. What are you getting in the drink? What, now let's go from the cigar to the drink. Focus on this. Cleanse your palate. Go from the drink to the cigar. What are you getting on that? Now write that down. Okay, now we're coming into the second third. Let's start the process over. What are you getting in the second third of the cigar? Drink's not going to change any. So now let's go back to cigar to drink and drink to cigar and so forth. That might actually be fun, and I like that. I like that idea of, we have a set night, a set Wednesday of the month, and maybe call it the, take what we were talking about with the Pairing Hour or Pairing Room. It's the Twisted Pairs pairing journey or something. Whatever. But Bert, you're the creative one when it comes to the names and the graphics and all that stuff. So I defer to you.
The other thing too, a lot of the viewers are somewhat new to cigar smoking, or may have been smoking a while. And I think when you mention Nicaraguan cigars, or you mention San Andreas, when you say Nicaraguan, that covers like 40% of the cigars out there in the world. Instead of telling us the region of where you should get, is name the cigars. Because for me, when you say, oh, this cigar is from Nicaragua, first thing I'm doing is like trying to figure out what he's talking with, which Nicaraguan cigars, and I'm pulling it up and I'm looking at other websites. Instead of doing that, going to some other form of education, another form of, to find out what Nicaraguan cigars you're referring to is to actually name the cigars that you're referring to. It could be 5 of them, it could be 10 of them, whatever. That way, when the viewer goes to a brick and mortar, they say, you know what, I want this particular cigar because I saw it on the show. It's a Nicaraguan, and then they go to Total Wine or Bevmo or wherever they go, and they get that particular wine instead of saying, oh, get this wine from France. Well, again, that's like, 200 different types of wine from France. Give us a specific brand of cigar, and give us a specific wine. I mean, you do for the most part for wine, but I think for the both of you is to give us a specific cigar so that I can go to my brick and mortar and say, hey, this is what was recommended with this wine. I need to get that particular cigar.
I think that would have made if you remember back when we were doing our region tasting notes challenges. So like we did Brazilian, we did Nicaraguan, we did Ecuador. I think that would have possibly made that a little bit easier if we had said, okay, go and get an Ecuadorian Sumatra wrapper, focus in on this. And by the way, you can go and pick up an Ashton VSG that has an Ecuadorian Sumatra. You can go and pick up a My Father's Le Bijou, which has an Ecuadorian Sumatra wrapper. You can go and pick up an Eras out of Florida, which has an Ecuadorian Sumatra wrapper. Different ones like that. And like what you're saying, specific cigars that has that makes it easier as opposed to just an Ecuadorian wrapper cigar.
And here's the thing is kind of, and we've hit on that, and I think it would be great because now I don't know if you've noticed, and I kind of watched a reel on this and I giggled. I literally laughed out loud because it gives shout out to Cigar Art, because now a lot of people are saying, oh, it's an undisclosed binder. It's an undisclosed wrapper. It's undisclosed fillers. Well, for some of us, if it's going to have that cocoa, that chocolatey, we know it's a San Andreas. But they're saying it's undisclosed. And he brought up a valid point, is a lot of them are saying it's undisclosed to make it more mysterious, But the whole thing from undisclosed comes from whenever, if it was like actually Cuban and we couldn't say it was Cuban because it was illegal or whatever. So that's what a lot of times they would say undisclosed. So, a lot of times we can kind of pick it apart, where maybe it might be from, we may not be 100% accurate, but it's going to have that flavor. And I kind of laughed because it seems like a lot more companies are like, I looked up, like the one that Bert's smoking. It says undisclosed. And I giggle because we can kind of get a little bit of it for those. But I think it brings it back to where we focus on like those regions, maybe pick a region for, on that Wednesday that we want to hit and do a region. Okay, say we're going to have, this is the region. Here are some brands. We're going to go with wine. Here are some wines that are old world, because then it kind of lets you know what the old world versus the new world is. Mm-hmm. And then it kind of lets you know, okay, this is the region. These are the cigars that you can pick from these regions. So I really like that because it kind of makes it more focused. And then you do a pairing, and then we have people on saying, oh, this is what I'm getting. This is what I'm getting. And so then it's really educating them and taking them to that next level.
And here's what really actually comes down what you gain from this is that you get to the point to where you can, like you were saying, Red, you're smoking an undisclosed, or you're smoking an unbanded, unknown cigar, and you get to where you can actually start picking out what that blend is, because you know those flavor profiles. And to the point where on one of the shows, and I think Bert was mentioning the Texas Cigar, or maybe it was you, Red, that was mentioning the Texas Cigar Roadshow. And there was one episode where David Skelton, and I, who's the host of it, and I were given a blind. We did not know what the cigar was. We did not know what the whiskey was. And our challenge was to pick out the profile of the cigar and pick out what the profile of the whiskey. And if we could pick out which cigar and which whiskey it was, then even better. And David and I were both able to pick out a portion of the cigar. I was able to pick out, I knew that the whiskey was a 4-grain right off the bat on it, just because of the profile on it. And I was able to pick out 90% of the blend of the cigar on it, just because of having put our palates together and where we are, and being able to distinguish what these cigars are, and knowing that I'm picking up these types of notes. So I know that this, like you said, if I'm getting cocoa and I'm getting a little bit of spice, I know that's a San Andreas. Whereas if I'm getting cocoa with some earthy notes, then chances are 90% that's going to be Cameroon. So depending, if I'm getting cocoa and creamy out of that, then that's a jalapa habano. To whereas if I'm getting creamy and fruity, that's an Ecuadorian jalapa.
I think with what I was trying to get to was that whenever you make a recommendation, if it's a Nicaraguan cigar or Dominican or San Andreas, I don't want to go to another person's website other than Leaf and Grain to look up what that cigar is. If you had a list of, let's say, boutique and mainstream cigars on your website, and Greybeard says, or Red says, it's Dominican, instead of me going to Small Batch or Cigar Dojo or all these other websites to look up what that cigar is, I'd rather go to your website and know and have a list already there, so that I can see from each region, 5 cigars from each of those region, or 5 boutique, 5 mainstream, instead of me going away from Leaf and Grain and going to another website to try and figure out what that cigar is. I'd rather go back to your website, to Leaf and Grain, and boom, it's listed right there. Because that's what I do as a viewer. Whenever either of you mention a cigar, the first thing I'm doing, I'm looking it up. And unfortunately, I'm not looking up on Leaf and Grain because it's not listed. I go to Cigar Dojo, I go to Small Batch, I go to, all the other websites that I know that are going to, if I type in Nicaraguan onto their website, it's going to pull up the cigars that are, from that region. I don't want to do that. I want to go to Leaf and Grain.
Like a one-stop.
Right. And that's just me bringing myself back to Leaf and Grain. Now Leaf and Grain. Now if I want to, if I'm out in the store at a brick and mortar and I want to, find out, Dominican Republic cigar or a San Andreas cigar, I'm not going to go to Cigar Dojo to look it up. I'm going to go to Leaf and Grain because they have it listed.
And this kind of fits. I love that idea, Bert. And this kind of fits in with some other people, some requests that I've had from some other people, us having a list like that, and then having pairings for that cigar. So somebody comes in and says, "Okay, I'm looking for a Nicaraguan." Let's say a Nicaraguan Corojo with a San Andreas wrapper, and a Corojo wrapper with a San Andreas binder, and I go and I look up a and I'm just speaking arbitrarily because I know my father doesn't have one, but this came right off the top of my head. Or Karen Berger cigars. She's got a San Andreas wrapper with a Sumatra binder, and we go and look at that cigar and immediately see, okay, this will go pair with this type of wine, this type of whiskey, and broken down to, okay, a Speyside Scotch, an Islay Scotch, a bourbon with this type of, mash bill, a standard bourbon as opposed to a high rye bourbon.
Well, and on that one, because I don't know the bourbons, that's when I would say make a suggestion. I would almost say like make it like a suggestion kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Pair this with this and this. Try this or this and this and this. So that way, because like we know I don't know my bourbons at all. I'll be the first one to admit it. And whenever someone has a bourbon question, I'm like, message Greybeard, ask Greybeard. So that's kind of like on that one. And that's why I always message you, hey, I'm about to smoke this. What do we go with it? So, I mean, it's kind of like that. Because, like, when it comes to that, I need a specific, Yeah,
no, exactly. But not just state that go and pick up a restoration rye. But why a restoration rye as opposed to an Angel's Envy rye?
Right.
And Mary, restoration rye, because of what its mash bill is, as opposed to an Angel's Envy rye because it's finished in a port cask. And the port cask is going to take that sweetness level up too high, which is going to counteract with, that. Now, granted, I'm giving myself a lot of work. Right. Because right now I'm really the only one that's working on the website. I mean, Cigar Traveler's helping out a little bit, and training him up on it. But I love these ideas, and I'm glad that I asked this question of what you guys would like to see from us, because we can say what we want to do. Mm-hmm. But really, when it comes to business, and all our viewers are our customers, really. You're not buying anything from us. Yet, hopefully, at some point in time that will change, beyond just the leaf and grain swag. Let's see, it's around here somewhere. But you're our customers, and being able to give is what you guys would see as value, as opposed to what we assume what would be value, is going to keep you coming back. Mm-hmm. And Business 101, and I know, Bert, you can testify to this, and Red, you can testify to this, is that it's easy to get new viewers. It's easy to get new customers. It's a lot harder to get those customers to continue coming back. Retention is the challenge. That's key, and that's what we want to do.
But I mean, I love the ideas and the thoughts for, especially, I think it's going to be fun to do like the pairing, and then we can explain, okay, this is why we picked this. This is why this is that.
So Tiffany says it has to be a nice balance. So Tiffany, if you could type into the chat, what is it that you mean? But it has to be a nice. Oh, Joe's heading off. Thank you.
Yes,
thank you, Joe.
Thank you so much, Joe. I'm blown away. Love the Glencairns.
Yes.
Super stoked.
Absolutely blown away. Thank you for the framed poster plaque. That was amazing. Mm-hmm. Tiffany, what do you mean by it has to be a nice balance? Are you talking about with what we're putting on the website? Are you talking what? Can you kind of give us a little bit more insight as to what you're talking about?
Oh, and next week I'm going to ask you: are we going to do our top 5?
I think we should do our top 5. It's a lot. It's the last show. We need to announce our top 5. And I'm gonna say that that we need to have. I'm going to put it out to Matt, put it out to Cigar Traveler, and put it out to Bert that all 5 of us are on the show, and we're going down and talking about what our top 5 is, and then maybe we inside, offline, we take it to, amongst ourselves and vote on what. So we have our individual top 5, and out of that, this is Leaf and Grain's top 5. I think that would be a good end of the year show, and then we'll publish an article on the website about it. And so a couple of things. So I'm finishing up the article for my top 5 old fashions for DFW West Side. And so what constitutes West Side is, so if the airport is the center line, if it's west of the airport, then that's west.
Specify.
Yes.
DFW.
Yeah, DFW Airport. If it's west of the airport, DFW Airport, then that's DFW West. And then starting on Jan 1, I'm going to start testing out DFW East. So I'm going to be hitting a lot of bars, lounges, restaurants on DFW East side to come up with the top 5 old fashions that will come out at the end of Q2. Because it's going to take me a little while to find them. It's taken me 6 months to find these, and I probably had 500 to 1,000 old fashions in the last 6 months. It's been a lot of work, but I've got the top 5 nailed down. Out of those 5, 3 of the winners are female bartenders that have put it together. So now one of them, she took 2 categories.
Wow.
She took 2 categories, and she's taking the top old fashioned DFW West overall.
Well, I'm excited.
What about Red's top 5 breweries?
Ooh, Red challenge! You got to write some. You're going to have to find some time to write some. All right. Before we get into that, Tiffany responded. So she said you had to provide content that you enjoy sharing and that viewers are interested, not solely what raises just numbers. 100% agree.
Yeah.
100% agree with that. And thank you for calling that out. 100% agree.
Yes, 100%. So.
Because if we don't enjoy doing it, then we're not going to be motivated to keep doing this. And trust me, I'm motivated to do this, but it takes me 20 minutes to set up out here, just to set up, and it takes me another 10 to 15 minutes to break down. And then I'm looking at the numbers and putting together the analytics, because not that anybody expects me to, but I'm reporting back to how we did, what kind of, what was the overall impressions were, so what the data was, so that everybody on the team can see what kind of viewership, what kind of responses, come through this. And I also show the team what kind of data we're getting on our LinkedIn, what kind of data we're getting on our IG, our pages, what kind of growth we're getting, the searching, all of this, so that everybody, within the team can see, how we're growing, if we are growing, or if it's declined a little bit. So the passion is there, because this takes a lot of work, not just on my side, but on Red's side together. When we put together a pairing, we're not just randomly at the last 5 minutes of it. Granted, that has happened with me, and I believe as well with Red, the last 5-10 minutes, like, oh shit, I haven't even put my pairing together.
Or I was like, or I can't find it.
Or can't find it. But we put in a lot of research.
Like 3 times this year.
Three times in 100, and you said what, 111 shows or 101 shows? Bert, you said something like that. So in 100+ shows, I mean,
101.
There's been a lot of research that goes into the pairings, into what we're presenting, research into who our guests are, because it's not just a matter of, oh, we're going to have so and so on our show, and we've got to research who they are, what they've done. That way, we can formulate what questions we're going to bring to the table. And I mean, this isn't all ad lib, so we've got to enjoy that, or the passion's not going to be there.
Are you guys going to have any repeat guests on the show? I know you've had some repeats, but like Anya, maybe Karen.
I would like that, and I think that we kind of talked about it. We said that we would, because the cigar industry is like forever changing, and things have happened, and they've come out with new things, and the same with whiskey, same with breweries. So I would like for, that's part of the thing, is to kind of plan and see where they are now, because it's ever changing.
I would especially
answer that for you, Greybeard.
100%. I'm with you, and I'd really like to have Anya on this show again, because she's changed the name of her line of cigars. She's bringing out new blends, new blends into the market. She's really grown a lot. We haven't had a winery or a brewery, on the show. We've had a coffee guy on the show, but I'd like to have more coffee people on the show. I'd love to have a chef on the show.
I will say that they're harder to nail down on that. But
what would you guys like to see in 2023?
For leaf and grain or twisted pear?
Huh?
I would say leaf and grain or twisted pear, or both.
Both.
I'm with you. I'd like to see more food.
Yeah, I like that idea. And one thing is, like, it's been hard to get down the breweries and the wineries and things like that. I'd like to kind of see that more for us, is to kind of see that. As far as like the leaf and grain, it's always been that I would really love to try to do like more from like, pairing suggestions or things like that. But the thing is honestly, I can't think of the word right now, but like my time is so squished right now. I'm focusing on trying to get the CRT for leaf and grain that up and going. So that's my contribution for that. And I know that sounds like so cliche and so laid back or whatever, but I would really like to kind of like amp that up, and I'm going to have to see where next year takes me as far as where I will be and what kind of job I will be doing. Because I'm definitely, I said it last year, I couldn't get out of my contract. I'm hoping I'll be able to get out of my contract this year. I know it's going to mess with my retirement, but at this point, I need to, for my own sanity. So hopefully, if I can find something else, that will free up my time so I can give up more to leaf and grain. And I know that sounds like passe or whatever, and people will be like, no, she can't be that busy, and da-da-da-da. The reality is that. So that's kind of what I would like to do.
It's totally understandable. I mean, we all know how many hours you work and things like that, and the time is definitely a big factor and things like that. I was just asking, and nothing, didn't have to be anything big or anything huge or anything. Maybe one goal.
Maybe if I could get something written a quarter, I think Greybeard would appreciate that too. So once a quarter, how's that? Is that good? That's my goal. Once a quarter. So you're going to have to remind me. Say, hey, Red, Take the
and
time out.
that would really help with one of my big goals that I would like to see is more relative content for the website. To drive traffic to kind of what you were saying, Bert, is to bring turn Leaf and Grain website into that one-stop shop, have more magazine style articles, bringing more content that really interacts, that people will read. I mean, we're getting more viewership to there, but I'm seeing really high bounce rates. And a bounce rate means that they come into the website, they're there for a couple of seconds, and then they're off the website. So, get it to where people are more engaged in the website and reading the articles and being more, engaged and spending some time on there. That's something that would be really important, that I would really like to see. And so I think that's, to me, I think that's a little bit more high priority of, the certification path that we want to do. I think that's going to come. I know that's going to come down the line at some point in time, but I think driving people to the website is going to be more important. That plus, I'd love to see us, be able to come out with maybe, another Vitola of our current blend, or maybe another blend. And so that means getting our tobacco permit, and getting an office space and so forth like that. So I've got lots of things that I want to do.
What about coffee? Are you going to do another coffee, whiskey coffee, or something something that aligns to that? Or
Here's my thing on that. I'm gonna I think that it would be awesome, but right now, in all honesty, I think it's we need to focus on the website for that, going that, and then maybe hitting that once we get that done. Like, focus on the website, maybe the cigars, the permits, and all those, and then maybe later the coffees and the teas and stuff. That's I don't know. I spoke, so I don't know if Greybeard feels the same.
No, I feel the same. I was going to say, if the right deal, if the right opportunity comes across our table, then we'll absolutely entertain it. I'd love to see a coffee that's not a one shot like what we had, which was a great coffee. I mean, it was a phenomenal coffee, but it was a one shot kind of deal. I'd like to see a coffee that, a Leaf and Grain blend of coffee that's a staple that you can get year round, not just for a period of 2 months, something along that line. But so, if the right deal comes around, just like, we want to do a barrel pick with a whiskey, if the right deal comes around,
we're not going to say no.
Yeah, we're not going to say no. We're not going to turn.
Say no.
But primarily, I think, with what we've heard, just kind of, it just kind of assures us that having a focus on the website and getting traffic to the website, and meaningful content on the website to drive that traffic and to keep that traffic there, needs to be a focus for us, as opposed to all the rest. So where we were trying to do a whole bunch at once, now let's refine that and come in and focus on maybe one or two, maybe 2 or 3 things, and get those down to where that's a well-oiled machine that's just working. So, we've reached out. We've got a new guy writing about coffee that we're entertaining and looking at, some of his writings, and we'll be publishing those and working with him on that. And through that, anytime we bring in a new writer, we've got to make sure that their writing is to the level that we need it to be, because it's our reputation that's behind it. and we've got a good reputation of our writing so far as it is. So we need to make sure that it stays there. So, and honestly, I'm one person. Red only has so much time. Matt has only so much time. You, Bert, only have so much time, and I only have so much time, and I can't keep adding. I have too many irons in the fire already, and I can't add any more into it. Otherwise, I'm going to burn myself out.
Yeah, it's about focuses. So, on that note, we've been on for 3 hours.
Yes, I just noticed that.
Greybeard spot, but my blood sugar's like. Ooh.
Yes, I saw your message, and I was trying to wrap up to bring
and
that.
I knew that. So, and here's my thing. I'm glad that you were able to come and join us, because that way people can put a face other than a picture and a personality to the person who does our graphics and our Google. What'd you call him? See, I can't even I can't remember. So I'm like, my blood sugar is way too low.
He's the Google king, and so much more. Bert, you provide so much for us, and you've heard me say this before. I'm so thankful, so appreciative of all that you do on this. And nobody gets paid to do any of this, and the fact that everybody that's supporting us on this is volunteering their efforts is very humbling.
I appreciate it. It's a lot of fun doing those graphics. I get to do graphics that make Greybeard look like the big strong guy, or the knight, and all those different graphics. So that's good. You have any feedback on types of graphics that you want to see from me going forward?
I would say keep it up, and if you could add, if I could be so bold to add just one more graphic, and that would be the graphic for our display.
Okay.
That we do, in the advertising of the show, and I can get you those sizes again.
Okay.
On it. That would be wonderful.
All right.
But I mean, I don't want to. I hate asking for more from people, and I think that's why I take on so much, is because I hate asking for more, especially when I can't compensate anybody for what they're doing already. So you're muted, Red.
Damn it, Zoom call. Can you put up Tiffany's last comment though? I kind of want to leave on that note. Her last comment is I love my girl Tiffany, and I hope that you're starting to feel better. Okay, she's not feeling well, and the fact that she's tuning in and providing feedback and making comments, that means the world. It's kind of here's the thing, is with doing this, and I do want to kind of say this, is whenever you put yourself out there, anytime on social media, doing what we do, you do get negative feedback. But I feel like we have gotten so much positive feedback, so much love, and we've made so many amazing, beautiful friendships. Like Tiffany's come down, we went out to lunch and we hung out. We message each other, we check up on each other. Bert's come down, we've got to hang out with him, got to meet him and know a little bit more about him. We've had other people that have got, like Boston Jimmy, other people, whenever they come into town, and we actually get to, you actually got to hang out and drink and smoke with one of our followers that follows us. And
yes, Frederick.
Yeah,
Frederick came in, and
I was working. I'm working. I'm a working girl. So that has been the beauty of this, and it outshines all some negative comments or whatever, and that our followers and the people who truly watch us they know that passion, and they now have that passion, and that's kind of like it's been worth it. I mean, because we didn't think it was going to be like this, and it is what it is, and we're running with it. And some of the questions is kind of like, well, we hadn't really thought about this, and let's do it this way, let's do it that way. And the thing is we're learning just like y'all are learning. It's kind of like, we just kind of said, hey, let's go online and let's talk about it and let's see what goes on. We didn't expect it to be like this, and we keep saying we didn't expect it. We honestly didn't expect it. We are truly humbled. We can't say thank you and appreciate it. And it's kind of like, even like with Joe writing, reviewing our cigars, doing the article, doing that for the Glencairns. I mean, that is just such a gorgeous, beautiful thing that is just so amazing. So, and so appreciative. We can't ever say thank you enough for that. So, thank y'all so very, very, very much. And, please know that we are truly humbled, and we truly appreciate everything. And we are forever grateful for it. So,
Yes. I can't think of a better note to close this on. So please come back with us next week. Same time, same channel, our top fives. And until
it's
then.
so dadgum hard.
Oh, I'm telling you. It is. Until then, explore the pairings.
There's something for everyone. Have a good night, y'all.
Good night.
Bye.